in the second of the quarter-finals. Full live commentary as ever here on Sportsound and BBC Radio Scotland with Rory Loy, Pat Bonner and Liam McLeod.
Thanks, Richard. Celtic have got their hands on the trophy 41 times. Nobody has managed to do that as often as they have, as they marked that treble last season and completed it with that 41st triumph. Livingston, twice semi-finalists in the Scottish Cup in 2001 and 2004. Lost to Hibs in the first of those and to Celtic in 2004. Celtic, of course, going on to beat Dunfermline in the final in what was Henrik Larsson's final game for the club. But they are down in numbers, both sides, really. Joe Hart there is skippering Celtic this afternoon in the absence of Callum McGregor, shaking hands with Sean Kelly, who wears the armband for Livy. And there won't be too many people out there with betting slips with Livingston's name on it for coming through this tie, despite the fact that Celtic are missing key men Carter Vickers and Callum McGregor. The Celtic players off into their huddle wearing the green and white hoop shirts, white shorts, white socks. Livy wearing their change colours, mostly black with the yellow flashes. And they will go right to left in this first half of the visitors towards the Jockstein stand. The Celtic players break away from their huddle as they look to return to Hampden Park. Brendan Rodgers' Scottish Cup record is frankly awesome as he looks to win the trophy for a third time personally. And they are big favourites in this one. The second of the Scottish Cup quarter-finals is underway. Referee Willie Collins' first whistle. O'Reilly knocking it back to Iwata, who finds Johnston, who sweeps it back to Welsh. And he finds Scales. Hart in goal for Celtic, Johnston, Welsh, Scales and Taylor, O'Reilly, Iwata, Bernardo, Kuhn and Maida with Ida for Livy, McGovern in goal. Just waiting to see how they will line things up. Looks as though Sean Kelly's gone into the back line. Montano out on this left-hand side looking to try and pinch it back off Kuhn, who finds Bernardo, who's on the spin, trying to get away from Stephen Kelly. Breaks to Johnston, fires it low into the box. Lovely play from Kuhn, gets it to the byline, pulls it across, and McGovern gets a nice early feel of the ball. That was good play by Nicholas Kuhn, just a little dummy to completely perplex the defender. Went in behind him at the byline, pulled it back, but it's a nice early feel of the ball, Packy, for the veteran Northern Irishman.
Yeah, he's been around things a long time, Michael McGovern, but he picked up a great position there at his near post, just about 2 yards off, so he could cover that sort of full space. And Nicholas Kuhn, who let that ball run through him quite nicely to create a little opportunity, just failed to pick somebody out with his cutback.
It's going to be a throw into Livingston over on that far side. It'll be taken by Michael Nottingham, who started over on the right. This is about level with the Celtic penalty spot. It was a long ball there which caused Liam Scales trouble. He was fortunate, it went to Newbley. He ended up winning the throw-in, the long throw into the box. Sean Kelly with a little flick. It's going to break round about the 6-yard line here. Livingston just couldn't let the ball settle, and it's cleared by Johnston. Just looked as though it might just fall for one of the Livy attackers who were round about the Celtic 6-yard line. Most notably Stephen Bradley. I think it just wouldn't settle for him, and it's with Taylor who goes back to Hart. Rory, what are you making of this rejigged Livy lineup?
Yeah, it looks like a 4-2-3-1, which I'm surprised at, but I did say before the game that probably a 4-5-1 in possession, but I'm surprised to an extent. But at the same time, I did say before the game maybe there's no better time than to take a couple of risks in a Scottish Cup quarter-final against a Celtic side missing their two best players, and you know, Kuhn looking very, very sharp there on the turn at the beginning of the game. So they're going to need to defend well, Livingston, but it looks like a 4-2-3-1 and a 4-5-1 out of possession. Yeah, and do you know what? They were playing championship opposition in the last 2 rounds, but I think it's fair to say that many people expected Livingston to go out against Wraith Rovers and Partick Thistle. They had the wherewithal to come through both of those ties. Came from behind twice as well.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the kind of resilience they'll need between now and May. As Kuhn comes driving down the right up against Montano, he skips away from who's giving him lots of problems early on here. Kuhn's in the box, low ball is clear by Obalai, and then rifled to safety by Stephen Kelly.
Yeah, a positive start from Kuhn. You know, first when he let him run through that time, it was a 1v1, and he went to the byline and got past Montana. Just failed to pick somebody out again in that final ball.
So Christian Montano scored a wonderful goal here. It ended up just being consolation a couple of seasons ago. hit it from about 25-30 yards and fired it into the net. But it actually hasn't been Livingston's worst fixture since they were promoted in 2017. They've avoided defeat in 8 of the last 17 meetings between the sides. Managed a couple of draws here, but they've yet to be victorious at Celtic Park, as it comes all the way back to Joe Hart, and he shifts it short to Welsh, who finds himself back in the team today. Carter Vickers out precautionary. Brendan Rodgers was telling us before the match he didn't let on about that during his media activities during the week, as Johnston loses out. A little bit slack, and the free kick's going Livingston's way, left of the centre circle, and Johnston trying to retrieve the situation after his errors ended up fouling his man, and Livy have a free kick just inside Celtic territory.
Yeah, it was very slack, and after a positive start from Celtic, you need to keep on top of things, keep the ball moving. He tries a little flick with the outside of his boot, very lazy, and ultimately punished for it, and Livingston have a free kick just near the halfway line.
Stephen Kelly's over it, about 6 yards inside the Celtic half, and he's going to lump this forward right-footed. It's a kind of delicate chip ball to the right-hand side of the box. There has been one in the air though. It breaks to Obolai, who hits the post, and Joe Hart didn't even move for that one, but the referee's blown his whistle, and Celtic have themselves a free kick. But there was a nervy little moment there for the home supporters as that shook Joe Hart's goal frame.
Not half. He's obviously given a foul for the first instance.
Why didn't he just blow the whistle though?
I know he didn't blow the whistle until the ball dropped to Nubelay, and Nubelay then had that shot that cannoned off that post, but he was very late in his whistle there. Willie Collum, I've got to say, from that perspective. But that's the only thing I can think of. Maybe that might be picked up later when we hear that there was a foul for something else, but that's the only thing I can think of.
He's going to play for a goal kick up the other end. Yeah, Obolai's very unlucky there, Rory, isn't he? Because he must have thought that he was opening the scoring, giving Livingston a shock lead.
Yeah, he strikes it sweet and clean, and it ricochets off the inside of the post. Joe Hart, no chance whatsoever. I have to say, it looked a foul initially when I first seen it, and of course in offside instances you would wait and you would hold the whistle or the flag, but if you think it's a free kick, then you give the free kick. You don't wait till the end of play and then give the free kick. So he's maybe just used to it now. Yeah, maybe, but you know, it would have been a bit of outrage from Livingston's point of view if that hit the net. But I think the correct decision was made ultimately. Willie
Collum in charge today. Nick Walsh is the video assistant on duty, as Greg Taylor picks up wide on the left in front of the north stand, playing it short to Scales, who sweeps it to Welsh.
Sorry, Liam. The one thing I will say that Livingston has over Celtic is height. You know, they've got big guys. Obviously the three at the back, and then they've got the big striker also, and they are big players, and Celtic have got to be able to deal with that.
Is Kuhn on this near side, just drifting in field. There's a bit of movement. Maida's in there, he's in behind. What a run it was, and he strokes it home. There's no flag either. It's brilliantly worked by Celtic. The ball in was sumptuous, and it's been rifled past McGovern. And even though Livingston hit the post just a moment ago, it is the holders who open the scoring. Celtic 1, Livingston 0.
Well, we all know, Liam, that Dyson Maeda likes to play on the shoulder of the very last defender. It looks like he times his run to absolute perfection. The ball into him is magnificent. He takes a touch and slots it home. I think he was maybe just onside, you know, and it's a really good goal if it stands.
Yeah, and you know, obviously he was trying that past Kuhn, but it was, you know, it was a pass really that should be cut out. You know, it drops. He was able to chest it down, and he was able to finish past Michael McGovern, and it was a good finish, and it'll give him a lot of confidence because we've seen him miss in those positions also. But today he's put in the back of net to give Celtic that vital goal. But that's a poor defensive goal for Livingston to lose. Just a lovely little ball played into a back post when they should really be dealing with it.
But it's a great pick out, and it's a great run by Maeda, who's slightly more unrecognisable just now because he seems to be growing his hair. They're checking for a possible offside. The initial replay that I saw, it looked on, but it's obviously tight enough to go through the official check here. No, goal stands. Check didn't last long, and Celtic have the lead, and Livingston yet again in the Scottish Cup have to come from behind, but this time it's an altogether more difficult challenge.
don't underestimate Maeda's first touch as well. That's incredibly difficult as a forward player in the box. Your first touch has to be perfect so you can get your shot away first time. So the run and the finish was great, but so was the first touch.
A chance for Jamie Brandon to run up the other end. Welsh, the covering player, prevents the corner and puts it out of play for a throw into Livy, about level with the Celtic 18-yard line on this near side. It's the goal that you dread when you come here as the visiting side, but it's the goal the Celtic supporters always love to see go in the infancy of games, and then they can potentially go on and dictate and dominate, and that's generally what happens here when they do take an early lead, as Dundee will testify to. Just a week and a half ago, Livy do have a long throw opportunity here on this left-hand side. It's going to be bowled in by Michael Nottingham to the 6-yard box, away by Iwata, breaks to Stephen Kelly, former Rangers player, and he turns it back to the edge of the centre circle. It's not a great ball, it's been charged down there by Bernardo, but it's rolled back to his goalkeeper McGovern there by Dan Mackay. Long ball forward, underneath it Scales. Nottingham's header back into the Celtic half, looking for Teti Yenge, who scored that dramatic late winner across the city here in Glasgow in the last round. So they came from 2 back to win 3-2 after extra time in Maryhill. Approaching the end of the opening 10 minutes. Celtic then with the lead, and the goal scorers in possession over there. It was just his 6th of the season. Maeda, he's managed to knock it in field to Iwata, who turns it back to O'Reilly, and now to Johnston. Out to Kuhn, little flick there. Started the game like he means business today, the German winger, as that comes bouncing. Well, it looked like it came off O'Reilly, but despite Brandon's protests, it will be a throw into Celtic level with the Livy 6. Just been taken short by Johnston to O'Reilly, back to Johnston, into the box for Kuhn, to Bernardo, touches it back towards Johnston. He's able to shake it back to Iwata, who finds Greg Taylor on that left-hand side. Little pirouette as he passes it short along the grass to Iwata, out to Kuhn. First time with the left foot, low ball along the grass again to Bernardo, and it comes, and there's a header over by Maeda, who looks up to the skies because he didn't make the cleanest of contacts with it, and it goes over the crossbar, and it stays Celtic 1, Livingston 0 on 10.5.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, there's goals in here for Celtic today. Livingston looked very, very kind of almost slow to react to things in around their box. That was a little ball just played in, it was flicked off one of the Livy defenders, and there was Maeda coming in again at the back post. You know, I don't know about you, Rory, but do you think Michael Nottingham is
scared stiff?
Is he a right back, or is he centre half? He doesn't look comfortable out in that position anyway, up against Maeda.
He has been playing there, Rory, hasn't he?
He has played there a few times, but I agree with Packy. I don't think he's particularly comfortable there. And Maeda made a run just before that again, and he's constantly watching him, and he doesn't look comfortable at all, I have to say. And Stephen Bradley, who is playing off Teti Yengi, needs to do more when it comes to Iwata. Iwata's getting far too much of the ball. He's there to potentially man-mark him, and he's getting far too much space.
Welsh with a slide rule ball into the box, chasing Ida, but McGovern flops down onto it, run about the 6-yard line. Good take by the Livy keeper, beaten by Maeda just a few minutes ago. He's 39 years of age these days. Mick McGovern, on loan from Hearts, 32 times capped by Northern Ireland, of course played at the European Championship finals in 2016.
And played very, very well, I've got to say. That was his big moment. Well,
it was the last game in the groups, wasn't it? Set him up against Germany for the next phase as Livy come forward. There's a chance. Oh, there's a goal! Livingston level. Dan Mackay scored against Celtic in last season's final. Latching onto a long ball, left-hand side of the box, drove to the left angle of the 6 and hammers it past Joe Hart. And Livingston have an incredible equaliser here in Glasgow's East End. Celtic 1, Livingston 1 after 12.
Well, that's a magnificent finish. This will be checked as well. Brendan Rodgers, I don't think he thinks it's offside, because he was complaining about the defending to his bench as opposed to a potential offside. I think it's tight, but my goodness, what a finish. He catches it on the half volley, inside of the foot, top corner. Joe Hart, no chance. Be interesting to see the outcome of this one.
Yeah, there was a huge space in behind Alistair Johnston, and that's where he found himself. You know, Dan Mackay found himself in that position.
See where Joe Hart's just now. Packy's having a go at the assistant on the far side.
My initial instinct is he was offside just.
Well, we'll find out. I'm not sure if
But take nothing away from the finish, though.
Yeah,
he took it on. He had all the time in the world to pick a spot, but he finished it absolutely brilliant. What pace, high up into the middle of the net past Joe Hart.
It came from nowhere as well.
It was almost like a surprise that he was in there.
Totally.
Yeah, nobody tracked him.
But he reacted brilliantly.
I don't know where Stephen Welch was at that moment in time.
Goal stands, one apiece here at Celtic Park. And that's exactly the response Davy Martindale would have wanted. And what a fine finish it was from Dan Mackay, who's on loan from Hibs. He was on loan at Cali Thistle last season, scored against Falkirk in the semis, scored against Celtic in the final of what proved to be consolation. He made it 2-1 before Jota went on to seal the deal for the treble winners, but
there was a huge space there to exploit on, and he obviously picked it out, and the pass went over Alistair Johnston, and he was straight through. There was no defender near him.
Here's Maida pulling it back to the 6-yard line, cleared by Stephen Kelly. Goes back to Welsh. It's certainly given Celtic something to think about. Welsh moving up towards the edge of the box. Rolls it out to Johnston, controls with the left undersole, finds Kuhn, back to Johnston, across it comes. Ida attacks to the near post, it's still alive, and somehow it ends up back in the gloves of Michael McGovern, who holds on at his near post. 14 in, 1-1.
I said there was goals in this game. We've got 2 already, and that's another big chance at the near post. But that ball, it was again Kuhn actually who started off this game very, very well, and he laid in Alistair Johnston on that occasion.
Obalai going back to his keeper. He's asking the veteran McGovern to race to his 18-yard line to clear it. Now it breaks to Johnston. It's a long clip ball towards Kuhn, but it breaks all the way through.
Doesn't look
McGovern.
the same player at the moment, Alistair Johnston. It looks like he's really struggling for confidence. You know, a couple of slack passes to begin with. He gets caught out for the goal. You could potentially argue, we need to see it again, that Stephen Welsh should come across and cover. But it came from nowhere. You know, and a few of his passes have been a bit astray. Alistair Johnston, he's a fantastic player, just lacking a bit of confidence at the moment.
He hasn't really put too much of a foot wrong since replacing Josip Juranovic here just over a year ago. And it comes back to Hart, who plays it short to Welsh. Very important cogs in that Celtic team from a year to 18 months ago, no longer at the club. Aaron Moy, Jota, who I mentioned earlier, 2 of the most notable names. He's out for a throw-in on this near side to be taken by Johnston just beyond the midway point of the Livingston half, and he bowls it back to Welsh. Short ball to O'Reilly, first time back to Welsh, taking his time over it to O'Reilly, back to Welsh again into Iwata. He's in space just outside the box, slipping it through but cut out by Stephen Welsh. And now it's picked up by Tete Yenge out to Newbley, who fires it long with the right foot. Scales facing his own goal with Tete Yenge all over him. Gets it back to Joe Hart, and Hart knocking it back out to Scales at the left-hand side, and Scales is in trouble here, and there's no whistle coming as he's robbed by Tete Yenge, who wins the corner. Well, Celtic had opportunities to deal with that a lot better than they did, and they're ending up having to face a corner for Livingston in this taller team that'll be making its way into the Celtic penalty area.
Yeah, it was a pass back to Joe Hart. I was saying, deal with that, Joe. It was coming out of the air, and he had a almost volley at first time, and they made a bit of a hems of it, I've got to say, and give away a corner which puts pressure on them. And we talked about the height of Livingston already in this game. They are dangerous from set pieces.
Almost on 17. Livingston have a corner. Sean Kelly, north stand side, over in that northwest corner of the ground. It's a very deep one towards the back post, headed away by Celtic. I think it was O'Reilly got the head onto it. Bernardo trying to complete the clearance. Iwata, it's not a great header. Mackay chasing after it. Might break Iwata's way again here, but it's dealt with by Montano, who gets it all the way back to his keeper. He was caught as well, though, by Paulo Bernardo, and that will be a free kick to Livingston just to the right of the centre circle. Celtic have been thrown into a proper cup tie here all of a sudden.
Yeah, you know, everything was going well for them at the start. They got their goal, and then they give away that. You've got to say poor defending, great finish from Dan Mackay, and it just puts that little bit of pressure back on them and keeps Livingston in this tie from that perspective. If you get a goal at home early on in the game, you'd expect them to build on that, but again, inconsistent.
On free kick from Obalai. Celtic head half away. It's Nottingham out to the right-hand side for Nubly. Flicks it in field, but only to the benefit of Tomoki Iwata. Now it's back with Hart, who plays it short to Welsh. Now out to Johnston. Celtic led early through Maida. 7 minutes. Just 5 minutes later, Daniel Mackay levelling for Livingston. It is Scales driving forward, rolling it to the left for Maida. Short ball down the touchline for Bernardo. Goes back to Maida. Will then dink it back into the centre circle for Welsh. Gets it under control. Steps forward, everyone bar Joe Hart in the Livingston half right now. As Scales turns it out to the left-hand side, Maida. A bit of space to work in. Short ball to the left angle of the box for Taylor. Leaves it for Bernardo. And back to Scales. Livingston trying to hold firm here. Celtic try and get their lead back. It's Scales to Welsh in the circle. Back to the left of it for Liam Scales. It's been a problem for Celtic sometimes in recent months. Been actually a little bit ponderous when they perhaps should be looking to work it a bit faster, a little bit quicker.
Yeah, just overpassing, I think. You know, somebody's got to take the responsibility of getting the ball and taking somebody on, and especially in those wide areas.
Sawata picking up. There's a Livy man down. Montano again. No free kick this time. And it's Taylor. Fires it into the feet of O'Reilly. Plays it to his right for Johnston. Infield to Kuhn. Back to Johnston. Low ball into the box. Cleared by Sean Kelly. It is Welsh forward. And maybe a foul by Kuhn. It was on Mackay. That will be a free kick to Livingston. It's all square here at Celtic Park at 1 apiece. 19.5 on the clock. Remember, Hibernian Rangers to come. 5:30 kick-off at Easter Road. Rory Loy.
Yeah, every Celtic midfielder there, you know, a little bit static. Lost count of how many times Welsh and Scales passed it back and forth to each other sideways. Not a lot of movement from Paulo Bernardo, Matt O'Reilly to show for the ball. You've got Maeda straight behind. That should open up space to show for it.
Callum McGregor's just sitting a couple of seats away from us in the row ahead of us here at Celtic Park in the director's box. Without him again today, potentially next week as well, and looks like it'll be after the international break before he's back, and he is so crucial to this Celtic team. Even when Celtic at their pomp in the last couple of years under Postecoglou and under Rodgers in this first spell, Callum McGregor was still pivotal to what both those managers wanted to do. As Livingston come down the right, Newbley's won another corner.
Yeah, just on Callum McGregor, he's also the captain of the team. He's the driver. He's the one that when things are sort of maybe kind of get into a slack situation, which is obviously evident here just now, he's the one that'll be driving the other players on, and you need that leadership in the team, and he stepped up to that.
And he puts the onus and pressure on the forward players by saying, I don't care if you don't want it, you're getting it and you're going to do something with it.
He still took that responsibility on when Scott Brown was here, didn't he? He was that important even then. Livingston though, corner to be taken on the Livy right as they attack the goal to the left, and it comes from Sean Kelly. Nottingham doesn't get anything onto it. Looked as though he was in a position to perhaps get ahead towards goal there. Celtic come away with it. Here's Kuhn, who evades the challenges. Stephen Kelly, and now it's Bernardo, who's brought crashing to the ground there. Celtic have an advantage given to them by Willie Collum Kuhn. They've got weight in numbers as well. As O'Reilly takes a touch and shoots, and it's blocked. And it breaks Stephen Kelly's way at the edge of the area. They've dilly-dallied on it though. McGovern with a great save, but he can't keep out the rebound. And Maida scores again to restore Celtic's lead. It's so bad from Livingston at the back, but Celtic have taken full advantage of it. Maida puts the holders back in front. It's Celtic 2, Livingston 1.
As a goalkeeper, Packy, you'll feel for Michael McGovern there, because the initial save's fantastic, but I don't know what Christian Montano's doing. First of all, he has a fresh air swipe at it. Forgivable, it can happen, but then he gets the ball under control, he panics, he gives it away, leading to the shot. Good save, and Maeda's got the simplest of tasks.
But there was a moment there that Celtic had about 4v2 players in the box. I thought the chance was gone when Matt O'Reilly took on the shot initially, but they were so outnumbered, the Livingston players coming from their set piece, by the way, high up the pitch. So it was poor defending, but that man Maeda reacting quicker than anybody else. He looks hot today. and that quickness and that reaction that we've seen from him last year in particular, when he was really, really quick in reacting to things. That's back today, and that's 2 goals. That'll give him huge confidence.
Yeah, and look, Willie Collin played the advantage as well, when some referees perhaps would have blown for the free kick and stopped the attack. Willie Collin saw Celtic winning possession, allowed them to continue as they come forward again. Montano this time, well, he does what he should have done a moment ago and just boots it away first time. And having equalised in this match, David Martindale will be furious that they've given away such a cheap second goal for Celtic, who lead 2-1, 23 on the clock.
I think it's been 2 fairly cheap goals, and I think that's a problem for them all season, isn't it?
Yeah, there was a hand used there by Montano, so Celtic have a free kick down by the corner quadrant off to our right, and a chance as good as a corner, this, a chance to put the pressure on, because they were certainly stunned by that Dan Mackay goal.
Well, it's that risk versus reward that we spoke about before the game, Liam. You know, the way they've set up, they're going to concede chances, but they're also going to get chances, because Celtic are slightly vulnerable at the moment. But I just think in a game of trying to outscore your opposition, only one team's going to win on the day.
Free kick to be taken here by O'Reilly, just in front of where the visiting support is housed, in low scales with a flick, and then the clearance comes off Maida behind for a Livingston goal kick. So 2-1 to Celtic. Brendan Rodgers has taken charge of Celtic in 14 Scottish Cup ties before this one. He's won all of them, scoring 49 and conceding 4 before today. So that Livingston goal, just the 5th that a Brendan Rodgers Celtic team has conceded in the Scottish Cup. Partick Thistle got 2 of them. And a 3-2 Celtic win here during Rodgers' first spell. And Mackay rifled home, but they've reacted well, to be fair, and they've got themselves back in front. Yeah,
the stats do show a real, you know, I suppose, performance level that Celtic have played in this competition. But this competition, it's a different competition every single year, and to do it again this year would be, I think, a very important one for them. But it's not going to be easy.
It's now back with Joe Hart. And we know Rangers are eyeing up the Scottish Cup as a possible part of a treble. Celtic will be desperate to take 2 of those trophies out of the equation, this being one of them. It's Maida in the left-hand side of the box. Bernardo pulling it back, cleared by Stephen Kelly, though. We've hit the 25-minute mark, 2-1 to the home team. It's out with Joel Newbley. Right foot ball into the centre circle, comes off Johnston's head, and he's found O'Reilly, who finds Taylor. It was O'Reilly getting up to support the attack there that helped when it came to the error from Montano. It was O'Reilly's shot that was saved by McGovern, initially brilliantly saved, and McGovern was close to saving the rebound as well, actually. It was just trickled over the line as Kuhn picks up on this right-hand side, flicking it back to Iwata. Now it's with Johnston onto the touchline. Paolo Bernardo midway inside Livingston territory. He's trying to hold off his man, who's Jamie Brandon, who brings him down. That's going to be a free kick to Celtic on this near side. It's been taken quickly by Tomoki Iwata. Now on the right-hand side, Kuhn into the box. He is moving towards the goal. Little ball back towards O'Reilly. Is cut out and cleared. Still comes Celtic, but the loose ball's cleared by Mackay. And a chance here for Livingston to take on some possession with Newbley midway inside his own, having a central area. It's not exactly where he wants to be. Mackay takes the pressure off completely by knocking it off Johnston, and out for a Livingston throw-in on this near side. I suppose from a Livy point of view, Rory, for David Martindale, he'll be saying to his players, look, you've proved you can score here. This tie's far from over at this point. Yes, indeed, and I do believe they'll create a couple more chances. Tete Yengi's held the ball up well a couple of times. He just needs to get bodies round him in support of him, and Livingston, you know, could potentially go on to score again. My concern, if I was David Martindale, is that, you know, you could be 3-4-1 down by the time you do get the opportunity to score again. Because, and I feel for Kuhn a little bit, you know, it's just that final piece, because I think he's been excellent in the game. You know, he's able to go outside and inside. I think a lot of the complaints about so far is he just cuts in far too much, but he's hit the byline a couple of times. Just need to get that right. Talking of which, here's Maida, and he's smashed it across there, and McGovern has to get a touch at his near post. It's a really good one as well. He's managed to get enough on it to put it out for a throw-in on this near side. As Maida rasped that one towards the top corner.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it was. I don't think he was trying it. It was more a cross, and he kind of almost mishit it. But the interesting thing was when the ball came to him out in the left-hand side, just touched it past Michael Nottingham first time and just ran past him at ease, and he's really struggling to deal with him.
Celtic have it with Taylor, who's back to Scales. Of course, Livingston 6 points adrift at the bottom of the Premiership, with just 9 games for them to play. Ross County have a game in hand, which they will negotiate on Wednesday night against Hibs. Long ball, cross fielder, comes off Nottingham's head and out for a Celtic throw-in. Sorry, Celtic corner over on that far side, which is going to be left, I think, here for O'Reilly by Maida.
Anytime the balls come into the box, Livingston have more often than not won the first one from dead balls, but as soon as it hits the deck, they're very panicky inside the box, so it's that little bit of composure they need to get back.
In from Matt O'Reilly, comes off the head at Newbley, back towards his own goal though, but McGovern is able to hold on to it. He'll be hoping to get an extended run in the team. It's his 5th appearance since joining on loan during the winter window for Michael McGovern.
He's a very good goalkeeper. You know, the time when he went to the World Cup, Euros,
yeah.
He was actually out of contract, Liam. He took a big risk and decided he would go away and have a good tournament, and that's what got him his move to Norwich, and he's a great guy and a fantastic goalkeeper.
It is Celtic in possession here with Bernardo just switching it left to right of the centre circle for Welsh. Out to Kuhn on this near side. In the 30th minute, Celtic leading by 2-1. Kuhn takes on Mackay, leaves it for the overlapping Johnston, who wins the corner off Montano. And Celtic very much in their stride here.
Yeah, I think they've sorted that out. When I watched Kuhn first and Alistair Johnston, there was really no partnership there. You know, we've seen them in the past, but today it looks as if they're linking up really well together from that perspective going forward.
Yeah, O'Reilly takes the corner. The header from Scales comes off a Livingston defender and behind for another corner. It's always been so important the way Celtic play that the fullbacks link up with the wingers.
Yeah, they can go on the outside or on the inside, and then you can pick a pass, or you can go yourself.
Yeah.
It just takes somebody away from a space maybe that you want to go and sort of drive into, or you can pass that ball into them. But yeah, and listen, fullbacks at Celtic will always be the ones that's almost creating.
Just think of Lustigan, Forrest on this right-hand side, and it was Tierney and Sinclair on the other, and Rodgers' first spell. As the corner comes in from O'Reilly, it's battered away. Johnson's going to pick up the scraps on the far side. Rory?
Maybe just takes a bit of adjustment from the fullbacks, given that under Postecoglou for 3 years they pretty much played as central midfield players.
True. Flip ball into the box. Ida with the flick out to Taylor, left-hand side, gets it back in towards Ida. McGovern holds on. It's just a little bit too high for the big man from Cork, and it's in the gloves of Michael McGovern again. We're 30.5 in. Celtic 2, Livingston 1.
Yeah, just picking up on that discussion around the wingers. Now, I think when Brendan was here the last time, the wingers, you take Sinclair, you take Forrest, they didn't actually play as out-and-out wing. They came from out to in and played in sort of in those little holes, and that was all fairly new also. Like, it was almost called an inverted wingers, and it served them really, really well. And obviously they've gone back now to out almost wingers who hold the touchline and work from there.
Yeah. On loan, Mikey Johnson, another 2 goals today.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yep.
Didn't notice that, but is that 3 or 4 games in a row he's scored now? He's they've enjoyed what they've seen from Michael Johnston at West Brom since he made the loan move. As Welsh comes forward to Ida, gets it in towards O'Reilly. It was just slightly behind him, and that took it to Obalai, and McGovern digs it out from the 6-yard line. This is all Celtic right now, enjoying some really good possession. So Taylor drifts it to Welsh on this right-hand side onto the touchline for Kuhn. Up against Montano. Infield, little dink ball goes straight to Bradley, who manages to find Brandon. Livy trying to get themselves out of trouble, and it's a long ball up towards Yenge's onto it now. Scales covering across, and the challenge on the Australian goes out of play for a throw in to Livy. He's an absolute giant, Teddy Yenge, on this near side, 6'5" of him. And Livy, number 33, has managed 4 goals in his 9 appearances coming into this one, including that late winner in round 5. It is a throw-in to Livingston, which has been bowled back by Nottingham into his own half to Sean Kelly, the skipper, to McGovern, the edge of his box. No Michael Devlin in the Livingston team today. Sean Kelly with the armband. Mackay's header towards Yengi's, cut out by Welsh, and now it's with the Johnston. 2 goals from Daisen Maida either side of a Dan Mackay riposte for Livingston. Here at Celtic Park, the rain beginning to tumble down again here in Glasgow. It's a long ball for Maida, who will chase that down. It'll be a first time pull back from Maida. It's blocked by the defender. Nottingham trying to prevent the corner, and he's managed to do that. Fair play to him as he puts it out for a Celtic throw-in level with the Livingston 18 on that left-hand side.
Yeah, just an air ball played over the top though for him, and he was off again, Maida, and Michael Nottingham was not catching him initially. He got his block in because he had to take a touch and try and get a cross in, but initially the pace of Maida just left him for dead.
Kuhn with the ball for Ida, who fires it straight out of play. And looking for Johnston. Little feel of the footwork there. 33.5 minutes on the clock with Celtic leading by 2-1. I mentioned Brendan Rodgers' awesome Scottish Cup record, but he'll be wary given he had an awesome record in the League Cup up until August this season, losing to Kilmarnock. They'll let their grip on the trophy slip. Long ball forward there by McGovern, bouncing, awkward for Scales again. Doesn't look that comfortable. That might break Tete Yengi's ways in on Hart, who comes across and does just enough to block the Livingston striker. He looked as though he was going to be in for an equaliser there. And Hart, perhaps memories of earlier this season when he was sent off against Livingston in a challenge at the edge of the box. As Obalai up the other end goes back to his keeper, and McGovern clears out of play. I think it's going to go unless Newbley can keep it, and he can't. It's out for a Celtic throw-in. Yeah, a little nervy moment there for the Celtic defenders again.
Yeah, it was, and then Joe just got to the ball and no more. I think even the big striker got a touch on it and kind of almost blocked it with his legs, but that was a dangerous moment. Just ricocheted into his path, and he was in.
Again, it's another example of the fact that Livingston can get in behind the Celtic defence, though that was a little touch fortuitous. Bobbled towards Tete Yengi, but here comes Welsh for Celtic, forward towards Ida, who's gone down. He's having a look at Willie Collum. He's being backed by his supporters as well, but the appeal hasn't lasted terribly long. We're in the final 10 minutes of the first half. Celtic 2, Livy 1.
Yeah, Adam Ida just wanted to back into Obalai there. Obalai just took a step back, and Ida lost his balance pretty much, so I think Willie Collum gets that one right. Not a lot in that.
No, I agree.
Where Livingston dug out a 0-0 draw here a couple of seasons ago, Obalai gave away a penalty in the last minute, which was saved by then keeper Max Stryek. It was Yakimakis who took it and was saved. Livingston escaped with a point. They are, having been behind against Wraith Rovers and then 2-0 down to Partick Thistle, they've been behind twice here at Celtic Park this afternoon as Scales drives forward and rolls with the left foot low out to Maida, level with the edge of the D of the Livingston box, in field to Bernardo. Stephen Kelly's the closest player to him. He finds Taylor on the left, shifts it all the way back to the edge of the centre circle for Welsh, infield to Taylor, and then Welsh, and now Iwata. Kuhn on this near side, faced by Montagno, level with the 18. Now he's changed pace, bursting into the box. It's Kuhn all the way here. Montagno gets goal side of him, lays it short inside his own penalty area, and then surely he was fouled there, was he, by Maida? The referee says no, and Daisen Maida's kept it in play down by the corner flag. Brilliant tenacity from the Japanese again. We've grown accustomed to seeing it. Here comes Celtic, a little flick towards Kuhn. He's run about the penalty spot, short charge down, and Bernardo fires over, and it stays Celtic 2, Livingston 1. But once again, it's such a reckless pass from Christian Montagno that put, I think it was Stephen Bradley, under pressure inside his own box, and Celtic were very nearly in to put clear daylight between the teams. It stays Celtic 2, Livingston 1. We're almost bang on 37.
Yeah, you just got to clear your lines, haven't you? You know that you're not even Maeda, but the rest of the Celtic players, they close you down really, really quickly. That's part of their game. So you just got to clear your lines, and then and then go and defend the next ball. But if you take a touch inside the box and try to pass your way out, then you're going to be in trouble. But again, Maeda very, very quick and sharp today, I've got to say.
Might be Jamie Brandon who got the pass that nobody wanted there, Rory.
Yeah, a hospital ball as they call it. But Christian Montano not learning from his mistakes. I mean, just get rid of it. It's highly unlikely Livingston from that position are going to be able to work their way up the pitch to get an opportunity. So, you know, just get rid of the ball, regroup and reshape. But Nicholas Kuhn again, I have to say, I've really enjoyed watching him. He comes inside Montano there, he makes things happen.
This has been his best game, Rory, I've got to say. You know, he's been positive, he's obviously now settled into the club a little bit, and they've been working on it. It's quite evident. We talked about his combination relationship with Alistair Johnston, so he's contributing today, and there's an end product which is important.
Here's Maeda, left hand side, and the inside channel was Greg Taylor driving into the box, but he can't fire it across. McGovern holds on. What a week of football coming up here in BBC Scotland across the board, really. Hibs Rangers to come in the third of the quarter-finals. The final one, Morton Hearts tomorrow. The draw for the women's and men's Scottish Cup will be made at half-time and full-time respectively in the match at Capello. Tuesday on the telly, Partick Thistle Wraith Rovers in the Championship. That Morton Hearts game, incidentally, live on the radio and the TV radio coverage continuing today from Easter Road. Wednesday, Dundee Aberdeen, Ross County Hibs in the Premiership. Thursday, Rangers Benfica in the Europa League, last 16 second leg. Then on Friday, Dunfermline Dundee United back in the Championship, live on the BBC Scotland TV channel. Here on Radio Scotland, it's a long ball, he does in, the goalkeeper's way off his line, but he didn't spot it in time as he clips it towards Maeda, and it's booted away by Ayo Obalai. 39 played, Celtic 2, Livingston 1. If Ida is aware McGovern's off his line, he's got a great chance to lob him.
I agree, Liam. He always should have taken a little look to see where the goalkeeper is. Michael's come off thinking he's going to get to the ball, and he was nowhere near it, and he was so far off. He could have, and it was on his right side, just to hook it over the top of him, but he didn't see him. You're right, absolutely.
I think as well, if you go back in that little passage of play, Daniel Mackay goes down far too easily. Willie Collum tells him to get back up, he handballs it, he gives the free kick to Celtic, quite rightly so, and that's where the opportunity comes from. So Willie Collum, we give them a lot of stick. I think he's had a really good game so far.
I should say as well, highlights tonight as Ida tries to get in behind the defender, and he's gone down as he was trying to get a shot away. It's comfortable for McGovern. Yeah, highlights of the two quarters today, and from yesterday's one at Pittodrie. Aberdeen already through to the last four, and a return to Hampden, a second semi-final of the season for them. As it stands, it will be Celtic, but Livingston still very interested in this quarter-final. Never beaten Celtic here. Just the third Scottish Cup meeting between them. Taylor having to do some defending over there. He just drift behind the byline for a goal kick, but he was fouled as well. So a free kick has been given, I think, over on the far side. It's actually gone Livingston's way.
Yeah, I think it's a
corner he's given. Yeah,
corner come off.
It
scales.
looked as though Taylor might have been hooked to the ground there, but corner's been given to Livingston.
Were you saying, Liam, Livingston have never ever won here? Never? See, interesting. I was doing a little bit of research and looking into things, and I didn't think I could scroll any further on Soccer Base, and I wasn't sure if they'd ever won, but you've just confirmed it.
You doing a Tom English, were you?
Yeah.
Getting the stats ready.
Well,
they have beaten Celtic, obviously, a few times at Ammanvale. They've enjoyed wins over them there as they try and land a blow here. In comes the corner, it's flicked away by Iwata. Johnston trying to get onto it, it's come off him and out for a Livy throw-in, just about level with the Celtic 6 on this main stand side.
He needs to get a little bit more pace on his corner, Stephen Kelly. They're very high, very floaty, you know, as Packy said.
The attack, aren't they?
Yeah, the big side, Livingston, you want to be able to take a run at it.
It's going to be a long throw from Michael Nottingham here on the main stand. Livy left, and it comes. It's broken to Sean Kelly, but it's chest control lets him down, and it's an easy clearance from Alistair Johnston. Livy pinch it back on the halfway line, loose ball. It's Nottingham. It was a good job he was there, because there were 4 Celtic players in behind him looking to profit. And then Jamie Brandon's batted it off Kuhn, and McGovern has to come out to the edge of his box. He's in trouble. He's done just enough, so he's off his line as Kuhn looks to try and bend it into the back post. Maida's header, and McGovern holds on. Maida so close to a hat-trick. 42 2 on the clock. Celtic 2, Livingston 1. On this occasion, Jamie Brandon's a little bit unlucky. He's apologising to Michael McGovern. His clearance was charged down by Kuhn, and they were very nearly in there, Celtic. Maida was at the back post, just glanced it back towards goal, and McGovern does just enough, Packy.
Yeah, you know, they've pushed the big guys up for the set piece, for the throw-in and so on. But their structure at the back is all over the place from a defensive perspective. You know, the goal that Celtic scored, they were all over the place. In that instance, they were all over the place again. You have to be organised. Even though your players have gone up, you've got to get other players into positions, and they look so vulnerable there when Celtic on sort of almost breaking out of their own box.
I think Mick McGovern's had a rush of blood a couple of times because he could have taken a touch in the initial phase. He decided to play it first time. All these players were up the pitch. Alistair Johnston wins the header, and Celtic attack, and then Jamie Brandon, as you say, Liam, I mean, they've been the masters of their own downfall at times. They're almost creating Celtic chances for them.
Yeah, that will be the big frustration for Martindale. Just a couple of minutes from half-time here, plus stoppages. They do have the ball in the Celtic half here over on that far side. They've been given a free kick.
Yeah, I'm just looking at this setup now again. They've got 2 players back, which you would expect them to deal with it, but they've got nobody really round the edge of the box where Celtic can break out of if that ball comes out on second phase.
Stephen Kelly with it, lifting it into the box. Hart comes, does enough to get it clear, and Livingston having to funnel back here as Celtic look to hit them on the counter. It's Iwata drifting the ball towards Kuhn. He's done well. He's behind Mackay. A little tug of his shirt there. Yellow card for the Livingston goal scorer, and a Celtic free kick, which Willie Collum wasn't ready for. Kuhn took it quickly, but the referee's got paperwork to do, and there will be a free kick here for the holders on this near side for Johnston. It's exactly what the guys were talking about. The delivery wasn't good. They were always going to be under the cosh as the ball comes in from the right. It's headed away by Nottingham on the edge of his box. Final minute of the first half. 3, I believe, are being added on at the end. So 4 from the break. Here is Johnston back to Hart. It is Celtic 2, Livingston 1. Hart to the left of the circle for Scales. It's an early ball. Lida with a header, and McGovern goes down and holds on to it eventually with O'Reilly. It's Bernardo. I always get those 2 mixed up. It comes back to
they do look
McGovern.
very similar, in fairness, Liam, don't they?
Yeah, but I've already established that Bernardo's wearing gloves and O'Reilly isn't, so that's the telltale, but I still got it wrong.
Green boots on O'Reilly also, Liam, just
There's a lovely ball in from Scales there. Adam Ida starts in the middle of the goal, clearly an understanding there. He peels back off the centre-back, Sean Kelly. It's a lovely floated ball, and Adam Ida's great in the air. Good save from McGovern.
Yeah, I thought he could have headed that back across into Bernardo's path. I think it was the header, maybe, unless he's got a good header back across the goalkeeper to beat him at the near post, probably wasn't on, only for Michael fumbled a little bit, created anxiety.
Well, Livy now just desperate to get in at half-time without being more than 1 down, because at 1 down they're still in this cup tie. At 2 down, not so much. We're into the first of 3 additional minutes at the end of the first half here on Sports Sound, BBC Radio Scotland, on digital, online at bbc.co.uk/Sports Scotland, and it is the second of the Scottish Cup quarters. Teti Yenge winning it off Welsh. Now Mackay drifting him away from Bernardo. Newbley to his right elects to go back the way to Nottingham. He goes back to his goalkeeper, David Martindale, frustrated because I think he saw an opportunity to go on the offensive there. Livy decided to play it safe.
No, you're right.
The offside flag's gone up here. Celtic have a free kick.
Yeah, I thought, you know, again, Dan Mackay did very well getting the ball and drifting inside, and he obviously had to pass it, but then it just goes straight back to the goalkeeper when you have a chance to counter Celtic a little bit.
Celtic would love another goal before the half-time whistle. Here is Nicholas Kuhn getting it from Iwata on this near side. Level with the 6-yard line of Livy. Chops back onto the left, gets the cross in, headed clear by Obolai. Only as far as Iwata. Tries to toss it back out to Kuhn on this near side. Montagno's there, and this time he boots it onto the roof of the main stand, and Celtic have a throw-in level with the Livingston 18. Which is going to be taken by Johnston on the Celtic right-hand side. Infield it comes to Bernardo, and now it is Johnston. Now it's O'Reilly, back to Bernardo, chip ball, looking for Johnston, gets a flick onto it towards goal, away by Sean Kelly, and out for a Celtic throw-in. 1 minute of the 3 remain. They were added by referee Collum. It is Bernardo back to Welsh and then back to Joe Hart, who's come all the way into the centre circle here to get a feel of the ball. And he turns it to Welsh. Forward it comes to Adam Ida. And it's been left there by Ida to Bernardo to Johnston to Ida. Good
well
by
played.
Kuhn, he's in. Right hand side of the box, pulls it back. The cutback's cut out though. And away by Montano. As Tetienge holds it up brilliantly again, not for the first time today. Stephen Kelly out to Mackay, who is fouled, and it will be a free kick to Livingston, and it looks as though it's going to be 2-1 Celtic at half-time. They've taken it very quickly here though, and Nubly trying to get in behind Scales, who does enough to get there first and clear, but here comes Nottingham charging down the right for Livingston. Thought about the cross, chops back onto the right foot, plays it to the edge of the area for Yenge. Back by Bradley. It's a poor ball for Stephen Kelly though, really poor. And Celtic can come away with it with Bernardo, but there is the half-time whistle here at Celtic Park. It's still cup tie on here in Glasgow, but Celtic, the holders, do have the lead at the interval. A double from Daisen Maida, the first arriving in the infancy of this cup tie. 7 minutes it was. That after Ayo Obalide hit the post, albeit Willie Collin belatedly blew for a free kick inside the penalty area for the home team. Maida's goal came just about a minute and a half after that. Lovely ball in by Nicholas Kuhn. Maida did the rest, rifling it past McGovern. But Livingston stunned Celtic Park 5 minutes later. Dan Mackay latched onto a long ball, left-hand side of the box. He fired it high into the roof of the net past Hart. Though Celtic would restore the lead 10 minutes later, around about the end of the first quarter of the game. Maida this time on the rebound from Matt O'Reilly's effort, which was saved by Michael McGovern, but it all stemmed from a real error by Christian Montano at the edge of his own box. Piled the pressure on his own team and his goalkeeper in particular, and he couldn't keep out the second effort, which was Maida's, who scored both for the holders at half-time at Celtic Park. It's Celtic 2, Livingston 1.
The Scottish Cup.
Live on Sports Sound from BBC Radio Scotland.
Where Scottish football lives.
So midway through the second of this season's Scottish Cup quarter-final, Celtic in command, albeit with a narrow advantage. Aberdeen already through the 3-1 win against Kilmarnock yesterday lunchtime. Hibernian Rangers to come at 5:30. We'll have full live commentary of that one. And then also commentary on the radio, and indeed it's live on Sportscene Live, BBC Scotland channel tomorrow night. Morton against Hearts, and the draw is being made both for the semi-finals of the Scottish Cup and indeed for the Women's Scottish Cup, but it's quarter-final weekend for the women as well. We told you earlier that Spartans had gone through 5-0 against Livingston thanks to a Becky Galbraith hat-trick. Let's hear about a high-scoring encounter between Hibernian and Rangers from Amy Canavan.
Yeah, good afternoon, Richard. Don't let the scoreline fool you here, though. This was a cracking game of football at Meadowbank, which Rangers eventually won 6-2 to progress to the semi-finals of the Scottish Cup. It was 2-2 at half-time, though. After a wonderful half of football, Rangers twice led through Mia McCauley's deflective effort and Lizzie Arnott's back post stab. But Poppy Lawson's powerful header and then Shannon McGregor's magnificent strike hauled the Highbuys level. Then a clinical counter-attack completely changed the game. Hibs were fingertips away from taking the lead with Kirsty Morris's distinct effort, but Rangers cleared their lines and Sarah Ewens buried on the resulting counter. Then the floodgates opened via the substitutes with a late brace from Rio Hardy, sandwiched by Jane Ross's volley, securing Rangers a spot in the semi-finals at Hampden.
Amy, thank you very much indeed. So although it was a little bit of a late goal rush, Rangers go through by 6 goals to 2 against Hibernian. Spartans comfortably through 5-0 against Livingston. There's a 4 o'clock kick-off between Montrose and Celtic. The other quarter-final has been won by Hearts, and it was a late goal from Lizzie Waldy just 3 minutes from the end. Partick Thistle 0, Hearts 1. You can see the highlights from the Scottish Cup quarter-finals that we will already have had by early this evening. 3 ties, highlights tonight, 10:30 on BBC One Scotland. The win for Aberdeen, Hibernian Rangers to come, and Celtic narrowly in front against Livingston. Liam was running you through some of the highlights of what is an incredibly busy week ahead. Just to recap, the Scottish Football Podcast, of course, every day, Monday to Friday, that's published. You can pick it up wherever you get your podcasts. Morton against Hearts, the one remaining Scottish Cup quarter-final live both on Sportsound and Sportscene on Monday night. Tuesday night, Sportscene live, Partick Thistle against Raith Rovers, big game in the Championship. Wednesday we'll be on with Sportsound, Dundee, Aberdeen, Ross County, Hibernian, the highlights there. There's a Sportscene programme at 10:40 that night on BBC One Scotland. European action on Thursday, Rangers against Benfica, the return leg. And then Sportscene live again on Friday night, and Dunfermline against Dundee United. More Championship drama guaranteed there. So much to look forward to over the course of the week. Plenty, I think, to look forward to this afternoon, because it has been a very entertaining first 45 minutes at Celtic Park, where Chick Young can bring us some news.
Yeah, rather strange, Richard. I'm sitting in my seat right behind the Livingston technical area, and Neil Hastings, Brian Rice and David Martindale have decided not to go into the dressing room. Players have all clearly gone up the tunnel. Brian Rice went as if to go. He was called back by David Martindale. They've been poring over a screen in front of them, but I find it very strange that it would appear that not one of the Livingston coaching team is in the dressing room at half-time. They're still chatting away here, three of them in front of me, just a few feet in front of me, as I said, poring over that screen. But a clear decision not to go into the dressing room. Curious.
Yeah, I think it's something that David Martindale does do fairly regularly, but I think I'm not sure that the whole coaching staff would normally be there. You would imagine that someone would be in there.
Physio.
With the players, yeah. Incredible.
Fitness guy.
Well, you'll be keeping an eye on them, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Look, Celtic have got that narrow advantage, but I think this is going. I mean, Rory, I think he was saying beforehand, Rory, look, you see that Livingston do have the potential to cause Celtic problems, and they have, but they also have the potential to cause themselves problems and also be susceptible to the Celtic pressure. It's pretty much played out that way, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has, and it almost looks like for every goal Livingston are capable of scoring, Celtic could score 2 or 3 themselves, and they've been the masters of their own downfall, as I said, towards the end of the half. Christian Montano, Michael McGovern, Stephen Bradley, a few rushes to the head at times, and they're putting ourselves in really difficult situations and difficult positions. But that being said, I think credit to both sides. I know Paddy feels ever so slightly differently, but I do think it's been a really, really entertaining half, a good half. I think it's credit to both sides. Celtic have played some really good stuff at times. Maeda, clinical, really good movement, and Kuhn as well. Those two have been the standouts for me. You can see that Celtic are missing the influence of Callum McGregor, who has not had a bad game by any stretch, but McGregor puts the onus on other players to move and get the ball and receive the ball, and that constant pressure. But when Daniel Mackay's opportunity came along, my goodness, did he take it? It was a lovely finish. I did think it had shades of offside, but obviously not. And Willie Collins had a good game as well. There's nothing to complain about, Richard.
Absolutely not. No, actually, he had a part to play.
Nicholas Kuhn has had a very good game.
Yeah, just in terms of Willie Collins, because clearly he's a referee who does get a lot of stick, but he played a very good advantage, didn't he, in terms of Celtic and that second goal.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, he did, absolutely. And that's, I like that, and referees, let the game, you can always pull it back if there's no advantage, but let the game flow, and it obviously suited Celtic in that instance from that perspective. But no, listen, Celtic, Rory has described it, Celtic have played as we would expect, plenty of control in the game, and I did say Nicholas Kuhn has contributed in the first half, and Maeda very, very sharp today. I don't know whether Michael Nottingham in that position is that's the best position for him, because he's been really on toast today from Maeda. Every ball that was played past him, or even to his feet, Maeda just knocked it past him and ran past him. He got in for the first goal when the big man was almost kind of caught square. And I couldn't believe also watching Livingston set up from their own attack and set pieces. They were so vulnerable at the back, and Celtic done them on a couple of occasions just by 3 or 4 players at times racing beyond them, and it was poor defending, I've got to say, from that perspective. And at the start, I thought there was lots of goals in it from Celtic's perspective, because I thought Livingston were very, very slow to react to things, especially inside their box, and there was goals there. But they're still in this game now, 2-1. That goal obviously stunned the faithful here at Celtic Park. There was a huge space in behind Alistair Johnson. I don't know, I would like to look at it. I think we were all shocked at how much space that Dan Mackay got, but he finished it really, really well. So it keeps Livingston in the game, and you know, they have the height. That's the other big thing, and set pieces I think is a way for them. If they can get up the pitch, get into those positions, get a ball into the right area, they've got lots of big players that could just affect Celtic. So Celtic will be desperate to put this game to bed very, very quickly.
But I think you guys pointed out, while they do have that height advantage, what they haven't done is put in the kind of deliveries that could cause Celtic problems.
Yeah, quality of ball, and it's been too high, too loopy, very difficult, because people then can react to that. If you put it in with pace and you get the big guys coming to attack it, then it's a danger. But when it's a big loopy ball, you've got to be absolutely precise to get on the end of it.
There will be frustration too, Rory, won't there? That actually we touched on the part play by Willie Collin. We played that fantastic advantage from a Celtic point of view, but it's all come from a Livy corner.
Yeah, it has, and you know, Packy called it before it happened just about, and if Packy can see it for the stand, then you'd expect David Martindale to be able to see it, because they had warnings. It wasn't like it was the first time it happened. And David Martindale will be disappointed. Look, mistakes are going to happen, but Christian Montano, for the second goal, makes the mistake and he gets a reprieve. He gets an opportunity to fix and correct the mistake, and he does the same thing again. He panics under pressure, and then Celtic score from it. And it's these decisions that are going to cost you in a cup tie if you come to Celtic Park and give away these types of goals, because I think if Kuhn goes by Montano, which he's done a couple of times, puts a fantastic ball into the box, Maeda's movement's good and they score, yes, you'll still look at that as a manager and a perfectionist and say it could be fixed, but you kind of hold your hands up and say, well, you know, there are moments of quality, but to simply gift Celtic the second goal, it'll be extremely frustrating from David Martindale, and he let Christian Montano know about it at the time, believe me, who then in turn had a go at Obalai. I'm not quite sure why, but you know, they just need to be a little bit more composed in their decision making at the back. Yeah,
Richard, just to describe how they're set up for those attacking set pieces, they put everybody up into the box, all the big guys, but they've got nobody around circling around the edge of the box, but they've got two players back almost in half a lane, but Celtic don't have anybody up.
So they don't need them.
They don't need them. No. Go into the area where the ball's going to drop into and deal with it, whether you give away a foul or you. But then Celtic are breaking like with almost 3-4 players, and the two players then that they're almost have to go and defend the space. Very, very difficult to do that, and Celtic have got the quality players that'll hurt you.
Live second half commentary to come from Celtic Park. 2-1 it is for the home side. Let's hear about that narrow win for Hearts women in the Women's Scottish Cup quarter-finals against Partick Thistle. Gully Singh.
Yes, full time here at Petershill Park. Hearts 1, Partick Thistle 0. A single goal was enough and deserved for the Edinburgh side, who sealed their spot in the Scottish Cup last four. Hearts, who have been in free-flowing goal-scoring form, put 10 past East Fife in the last round, but it was Thistle who threatened first in this one. Claire Docherty's shot after 10 minutes, held comfortably by Hearts keeper Charlotte Parker-Smith. 5 minutes later, Ciara Grant had a shot tipped onto the bar and put out for a corner. Then on 17 minutes, a free kick whipped in from Thistle, put into a dangerous position, almost ended up in the Hearts net as an own goal. Thistle players protested, but to no avail. Hearts would have considered themselves unfortunate not to be going ahead into half-time, their decision-making though in the final third being the difference. Hearts manager Eva Ollid rung in the changes at half-time. 3 changes in fact. It was one of those changes, Jessica Husband with an almost open goal, but she failed to connect and put Hearts in the lead after 50 minutes. Ciara Grant with a free kick 25 yards out, but her effort went straight down the throat of the Thistle keeper. Brian Graham then made 2 changes for the Jags. Off came Amy Bullock and Rachel Donaldson, and in their place Cody Hay and Rebecca McAllister. But on 86 minutes, it was Ciara Grant with a lovely floated free kick. Lizzie Waldo in a packed box, the one to connect with a header and give Hearts the lead. The Jambos seeing this one out, and deservedly so. They mark their spot in the Scottish Cup semi-final. They're in the last 4. It's Hearts 1, Partick Thistle 0 at Petershill Park.
So narrow win for Hearts. Excuse me, Spartans went through 5-0 against Livingston. Rangers 6-2 eventually against Hibernian. Montrose Celtic kicks off at 4 o'clock. And remember, we've got live commentary from Easter Road. It's a 5:30 start. Hibernian against Rangers will round things off for us for this afternoon. Into the evening, Billy Dawes, John Collins and Thomas Duncan will be describing all the action from Easter Road. You can enjoy all the highlights of the 3 ties that will have been played by then. 10:30 tonight, Sports Scene highlights on BBC One Scotland. Just awaiting the return of the players in the east end of Glasgow. Dies in Maida with both goals for Celtic. Daniel Mackay with the counter for Livingston. All 3 goals very well taken. But Brody, you were quick to point out just that first touch for Maida for the first goal. It was for somebody who hasn't actually looked that composed in front of goal for much of this season. It was a real piece of quality, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And you know, I said it a lot about Kyogo last season, that first touch inside the box is incredibly important, because that's what buys you that little half second of time to get your shot away. And if it's not quite right, you need that second touch, and that leads to your third touch being the shot, by which time defenders have recovered and the chance is gone. So it was really well controlled, and it wasn't particularly easy to take. It was coming out the sky, and he's taken a good touch and tucked it away. And on what I'm reading is his 100th appearance for Celtic, so not a bad way to top that off with a couple of goals in the first half.
Will there still be concerns from a Celtic point of view, Pat? Quite apart from the goal, Obalai hit the post, Yengi was in behind as well. They have looked a bit vulnerable at times.
Yeah, and Livingston had quite a few corners in that first half from that perspective. So, yeah, listen, when there's only 1 goal, and we've seen it already with Celtic this season, you know, that they don't put the game to bed, and then that anxiety creeps in near the end. Of course, it's the cup today, so you know, is there extra time today if it's a draw? Is it?
Will be, yeah.
Yeah. So from that perspective, you know, it's not as bad as the league game when you lose points. The anxiety might not be as much, but they still want to put the game to bed. And then if Livingston are creating their opportunities from set pieces, corners, free kicks, throw-ins, which we know that they're very effective, then there's always a chance that they might lose a goal.
Hibernian against Rangers to come. 5:30 right now, live the second half. Celtic 2, Livingston 1. We're going to join our commentary team of Rory Loy, Pat Bonner and Liam McLeod.
Only Rangers have been able to knock Celtic out of this tournament in the last 9 years. 3 times it's happened, twice in the semis, once in round 5. The last team to beat them in the Scottish Cup that wasn't them was Inverness Calais Thistle, when they did so in controversial fashion in that 2015 semi-final. They haven't lost a home Scottish Cup tie in more than a decade, when Aberdeen beat them 2-1 here in 2014. Just over a decade ago. Livy kick off the second half. No changes to either lineup from the one that started the match right at the start of the second half. Livy with their change colours, the mostly black with yellow flashes, going left to right. The 2004 League Cup winners up against the 41-time Scottish Cup champions Celtic, and the green and white hoops going right to left, as they tend to do in the second halves here towards the east end, or sorry, the west end of the stadium, the Jockstein stand end. And it is Liam Scales who picks up left of the centre circle here and turns it out towards Maida, but a little bit short with the pass. Nottingham has it back for Livingston, charging forward across halfway. Maida trying to stick with him. Nottingham's done brilliantly well, but eventually runs out of luck and into the path of 2 covering Celtic players. Niwata gets the touch, and it's O'Reilly out to the right-hand side. Kuhn, first time for Johnston, who's rampaging down that right-hand side, faced by Mackay, level with the penalty spot, moving back towards his own goal, and he shifts it to Iwata, who goes to Welsh. Celtic will look for a goal or 2 early in the second half, so that there is no possibility that there's a nervy end to this one. And it's Ida shifting it short to Taylor. Out to Welsh on the right-hand side, down the line for Kuhn. Montagno is with him. And it's Nicholas Kuhn just playing it back to Welsh over on that north stand side. Celtic right chip ball comes bouncing off Bernardo. Stephen Kelly trying to win it back, but Bernardo has it, faces the box, crosses in. It's too deep for everyone, and it will be Maida trying to keep this going down the left-hand side. Level with the penalty spot, finds O'Reilly. O'Reilly's inside the area. Short ball to Taylor. To the edge of the D, it's Bernardo. Livingston trying to get through these opening minutes without concession. It's to the right, it's Kuhn driving forward. It's the byline. It goes through the legs of 2 Celtic players, O'Reilly and then Maida, and it is cleared. Ida was in there as well. And it stays at Celtic 2, Livingston 1. That looked like the 3rd Celtic goal was coming.
Yeah, and it could have been a hat-trick for Maida, wasn't it? You know, it was right cross. Couldn't, again, did well. I think that the goalkeeper get a touch on it. I'm not 100% sure. But
comes across. Ida was in there. Comes off Obalai, though. An important double header from Obalai. Gets it out for a throw into Celtic on this left-hand side. 2-1 Celtic, but they are hunting down this third goal here. It's been taken short to Bernardo, who, that's a high ball, and he's put it back towards halfway, where he's given it straight to Tete Yengi, who rolls it out to this right-hand side for Livingston. This is all from that error from Bernardo, and it's Bradley to the overlapping Stephen Kelly. Early ball in, Yengi's there, and he heads it wide of the right-hand post, and it stays Celtic 2, Livingston 1. Chances at either end right at the start of the second half.
Well, the initial touch from Tete Yengi, Liam, you said towards the end of the first half, his hold-up play's been magnificent, wonderful touch, plays it out wide, gets himself in the box, and that's exactly the type of chance he scored in the last round against Partick Thistle with no time left on the clock. That night he glanced it into the corner, he tries to hit the front post there, and it was wide. Huge chance.
So how many of those chances are you going to get at Celtic Park? That's
absolutely,
the visitors.
But they worked it well, and you know, it was a brilliant cross in, I've got to say.
Yeah.
Real pace on it, low, just bending down to get his head on it.
Here's Welsh, encouraged to shoot. He does so. He'll probably be regretting that now, because that has gone into the Jockstein stand.
Well, in fairness, Liam, he ran forward like that in the first half, and the crowd booed when he didn't shoot. So maybe he's just reminding them as to why he doesn't do that too often.
In his defence. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't score many. He actually scored Celtic's first league goal of last season against Aberdeen here, early on in the campaign. Doesn't score many, and he's going to have to continue waiting for his first of this season. It's his 11th appearance. He's been used fleetingly and sparingly, has had injury problems as well, Stephen Welsh, which have impacted on his development in the Celtic first team, but we've seen more than enough during his spells in the first team that he's got plenty to offer this football club, as he goes out for a throw-in on this near side to Celtic, and Greg Taylor's going to take level with the edge of the centre circle in the Livingston half. Main stand side right in front of his manager Brendan Rodgers, hands in pockets. Ida shrugs off Obalai up to the edge of the box, drops the shoulder, but it's a little challenge from Brandon. Manages to stymie the Celtic attack for now, though they still have it over on that right hand side with Nicholas Kuhn, who changes pace, bursts infield, up towards the edge of the box now. Delicate little chip ball, so clever. Bernardo puts it wide on that right-hand post. And it stays Celtic 2, Livingston 1. It's outstanding play by Nicholas Kuhn initially down the right. Bernardo just didn't have to finish the match. 5 minutes into the second, it's Celtic 2, Livingston 1.
Yeah, coming on the inside, Kuhn has shown a little bit of pace to get away from Montano, and then just lifts it over the defence brilliantly. And that for Bernardo, getting into a position that I've criticised him for not getting into many times. He just couldn't finish inside, almost just beyond the near post. And it was maybe quite a difficult one to hit the target, but certainly good run and a good pass.
On the flip side, from Livingston's point of view, Stephen Bradley has got to do better. The difference when Tete Yengi holds it up, gives it away cheaply in the midfield to Iwata. They're on the back foot, and a Celtic chance is created from that.
It is Welsh for Celtic, right of the centre circle. Low ball forward to Ida, pushes it back to Iwata, out to the right-hand side for Kuhn, taking on Montano. Comes off the Colombian and out for a throw into Celtic, level with the Livingston 6. And even though Yengi had the opportunity for Livingston since half-time, Celtic have been dominant. Still early in the second half. It comes to Welsh, right foot cross comes in, it's cleared by Sean Kelly. And here is Scales, just runs into trouble though, and Livingston have it back. And it's out to this right-hand side for Joel Newbley, looking for support ahead of him. Newbley holding it up under pressure from Maida, rolls it back to Nottingham in his own half. And with Obalai, long ball forward, it's going to come drifting all the way through though to Joe Hart, and it stays Celtic 2, Livy 1.
Joel Newbley just can't get in the game. He's such a good player for Livingston. In my opinion, he's our best player when he's on form, and he's just not been on form enough this season. But his teammates also need to supply him with better service, because that was an opportunity to get him away there, but it was absolutely thundered into him at pace. And his first touch had to be back the way, and all of a sudden the ground's eaten up by the Celtic defence.
It's out to the right-hand side for Celtic. It is Kuhn, gets it through the legs of Montano, then fouls him and is booked by Willie Collum. And Celtic have a free kick over round about the right angle of the Livingston box as they attack the goal to the left.
Yeah, I
he's
think
not had a great afternoon, Montano, has he?
No, the Celtic wingers are top today, aren't they? I would just keep giving the ball to them. You know, get it out of your feet in midfield and get it out to those two guys either side, because they're giving the two fullbacks a real tough time.
Free kick coming in here for Celtic. O'Reilly with it. It's headed away by Montano. We'll be happy that it is he who was able to clear it, having given it away in the first place. It's collected by Johnston over on that right-hand side. Side football into the centre circle for Taylor. Taylor to Bernardo. Little run from Maida ahead of him, and Taylor on the left-hand side if he can find him. He's found Maida. Tries to spin his man, he goes down, no free kick. Stephen Kelly has it, and it's lumped to safety by Sean Kelly. Yengi can't hold it up this time. Celtic have it back with Iwata. They are 2-1 up as it stands, heading through to yet another Scottish Cup semi-final at the National Stadium. Work to do though, and O'Reilly's been caught. That's unusual, and it's been popped through to Yengi. Is he on or off? Yengi continuing for now. O'Reilly desperate to redeem himself. He doesn't know this is offside or not. Yengi shoots and fires it home! What a finish at Tete Yengi!
It was offside.
Huge shout for offside though. We shall wait and see. Yengi celebrates in the far side. What a finish across the bows of Joe Hart. And as it stands, it's Celtic 2, Livingston 2.
I'm going to disagree, Packy. I think that's onside, and I think the chance is gone. And then he does unbelievably well, cutting inside and whipping it into the far corner.
Onside's what we are hearing, that he is onside. Well, so it is 2 apiece here.
I'll tell you what, that is an unbelievable finish. An unbelievable. He's facing away from goal, down sort of almost in the right channel, and he swivels and hits it across Joe Hart into the side netting. An incredible finish. But, you know, it's a tight one because we're going to check it for offside. I thought he looked offside initially.
Well, we'll find out, won't we? But the word in my ear is that he's on.
I think he's on. I think it's Welsh who's slightly deeper, and I think the pass.
All right, Chick's seen it, Rory. Chick's seen it. Chico?
Yeah, I have to say I agree with your first instincts as well. I thought it was offside when I saw it live, but I think they've had a look at it, and actually when you see the rerun, it's incredible how things change. I think he is onside, and I think, Liam, the information you're getting is correct, that the goal will stand.
It has stood, and Livingston for the second time have come from behind to level this cup quarter-final. Sensational finish from Tete Yengi, the hero in the last round that took them into the last 8 with that late winner at Firhill, has made it 2-2. The holders rocked again.
Well, Rory's described his performance today, holding the ball up, bringing people into play. I didn't think there was a finish like that in him, but certainly it was magnificent in the way that he turned and headed almost with pace across Joe Hart with accuracy. I don't think Joe Hart had any chance.
I don't think so either. I think it's a top class finish. Matt O'Reilly was claiming he was kind of held back by him, but I don't think so. I thought the chance had gone. He slowed up, Matt O'Reilly caught up with him, and it looked like it was going to peter out. And that turn, touch and swivel, top draw.
It really was. Fabulous goal from the big man from Adelaide. It's his 5th goal in his 10th Livingston appearance. Is he the man to help turn their fortunes around? Not just today, that he's taking them back onto level terms, but their position in the league is so perilous. And here's Joel Newbley. Livingston new life in amongst them, and they've got a free kick as well down by the byline, just between the line of the penalty box and the corner flag.
Yeah, I didn't think that was a foul. I thought it was a corner. I don't see the need for giving a foul there. He slides in, Greg Taylor, and I think he wins the ball and pushes out of play, but there's not a lot of difference between the free kick and the corner.
Well, there's a real...
But it keeps the pressure on Celtic.
Yeah, there's a real hush around here now, and little wonder. Celtic have had their troubles at home this season, but it's the Livingston supporters who are enjoying their afternoon at the moment. You can hear them in the background. Sean Kelly prepares to take this free kick from the right-hand side, drifts it in, there's a header down, saved by Hart and cleared. Joe Hart's to make the save to prevent Livingston from taking the lead there. Stephen Kelly with the ball back in, comes all the way through and behind for the goal kick. Celtic 2, Livingston 2. I'm not sure he got the final touch on that, but Joe Hart saved with his foot.
It was a good save, you know, but it was down low from about 6 yards out. But again, Celtic not able to deal with the height of Livingston. Just ball played to the back post, out jumped, and that incredible turn in this game.
Yeah, I think it was Michael Nottingham. He got up so well. Joe Hart makes a really good save. It's such a crucial moment, but we need to source the person who did lead that team talk at half-time for Livingston, I think.
Yeah, but here comes Celtic up the other end. Ida flicking it back from the 6-yard line towards the penalty spot, but it's cut out. Twice Livingston have come off the floor here at the home of the holders. Nobody's won this tournament more often than Celtic, but Livingston are causing them problems this afternoon. Celtic, they'll have it with Johnston down the line for Kuhn. It's the break of the ball, goes down. It's gone out for a throw-in though to Livingston. It's some game this now.
Well, it's turned into a really good Scottish Cup tie. I thought, Celtic gone 2-1 up coming out in the second half. They would put the game to bed, but they haven't been able to. Livingston getting the goal, but they had a great chance also before that with a header again from the big man Yengi by the post. So Celtic have had the threat, and now they find themselves 2 each. This game can go anyway.
Rory spot on, by the way. It was Nottingham, and also with the assertion Stephen Welsh was the man playing Livingston onside for that second equaliser. That was the case. That's just been cleared up 2 minutes shy of the hour mark at Celtic Park. Floodlights on, beaming down on that green lush playing surface as Celtic pick up it as Welsh trying to knock it forward. The pitch here's improved certainly in the last few weeks, that's for sure. It's looking a bit rutted, but you can understand that given the weather. As O'Reilly picks up for Celtic on the right of the Livingston box, back to Kuhn. He's put it behind Bernardo though, and Sean Kelly can clear it. Scales for the challenge on Yenge. David Martindale felt that was a free kick to his team. He's not getting one. Montagno challenging O'Reilly on the far side, and it's out for a throw-in to the home team. Bowled in field by O'Reilly to Iwata. And now it's back into his own half for Welsh to Scales.
Packy, I understand Cameron Carter-Vickers is a big miss. I do. Why are they so vulnerable when he's not there? I mean, is it communication? Is it aggressive to go and try and win the ball in the air? Why are they struggling so much when it comes to Livingston's forward play?
Even with Carter-Vickers in the team, he's not the biggest. I think that's an area where Celtic are vulnerable with height. They're not commanding from that perspective. You wouldn't put Stephen Welch or even Liam Scales as commanding centre halves that's going to go and win the ball for you. And then the rest of the players out the field, who's it? Matt O'Reilly, maybe Ida might help them out. That's only 4 players from set pieces.
Here's Maida down the left of the Livingston box, low ball in, cut out by Opalai, and out for a Celtic throw-in on this near side. There's going to be Celtic changes shortly. We'll get to Chick, who's pitch side for us this afternoon, just at the next suitable moment. The throw-in bowled in to the Livingston box by Taylor is easily cleared by Obalai. Comes to Welsh, who heads it to Scales, who's on the march here. He's away from Yenge, slipping it through left hand side. Maida, he drives the cross in, can't find Ida, who's been on the periphery of the game, I think it's fair to say. But it's kept in play by Kuhn over on the other side. In comes the cross, a good one. Bernardo challenging Nottingham with the bit of defending there. There's some Celtic supporters claiming penalty, not being given initially by Willie Collins certainly, but on the hour mark here with the scoreline, it's Celtic 2, Livingston 2. Let's go to Chick Young, because Celtic are going to be making a double change.
They are indeed. Kyogo Furuhashi coming on. So too is Daniel Kelly. And the changes that are getting made are coming off Adam Ida, and the other player is Bernardo. That's the changes. And I think in a moment or two we'll get a couple of switches for Livingston as well.
Yeah. There's Kyogo coming on. It's been a frustrating afternoon for Ida. Kyogo comes on. Was so often the hero in the cup competitions for Celtic over the last couple of seasons, including last season's final against Cali Thistle.
I think Paulo Bernardo's slightly unlucky, not that he's set the header alight or been fantastic by any means, but I do think he's had a bigger impact on the game than Matt O'Reilly.
Well, it's going to be a free kick to Livingston here. Yankee thought about the quick one, but he's going to leave it for Stephen Kelly. It's almost bang level with the edge of the centre circle right in front of us here as we sit in the main stand. Well, this tie's in the balance.
It is in the balance. Just looking at Livingston set up again from this set piece. They've got plenty of players back now. The taker +2. They should be able to deal with Celtic's counter-attack if it happens.
Stephen Kelly with it, lofting the ball into the Celtic box, in and away by Johnston. He was being fouled by Obalai, and that's a free kick to Celtic, and the pressure comes off. But actually, Rory, I think it's fair to say that Livingston have had more opportunities in the second half than Celtic have.
Yeah, they have, and Celtic actually started the second half really, really well. Yeah. They came out and looked like they're potentially going to blow Livingston away, but it's that moment of doubt from Celtic. As soon as there's an opportunity, which there could be here.
Yeah, Kuhn trying to flick it forward towards Danny Kelly. Got his first goal for the club recently in the win over Dundee. He's come on to go up there with Kyogo. Celtic have it over on that right-hand side. It's O'Reilly trying to shake off his man, but he's lost out there, and it's well played by Jamie Brandon. There's a good few top performances from Livingston players this afternoon. We'll need a fair bit more, though. Still plenty of this match to go as it stands extra time. Here is Scales for Taylor to the right-hand side for Welsh. Bringing into his stride. Short ball to his right for O'Reilly. Forward to the right angle. And then now it's breaking back to O'Reilly, who crosses in. Maida putting the pressure on, but Nottingham just enough. And he's able to get it clear, but only as far as Tomoki Iwata. His pass finds Johnston on the slide. He can only put it behind for the goal kick, though. Well outside the box, and he made contact. And it's going to be a Livingston goal kick. This game is tied at 2 apiece. It's a really good dogged performance from Livingston. Not just that, though, they've come here with a threat, that's for sure.
Well, the thing is, this is now very crucial for Livingston as they try to go on and win the game, because there's a natural tendency when you come here at this stage of the game, when it's a draw, even subconsciously just to drop back the pitch, defend what you have. But they've shown enough that they can cause Celtic problems. They need to be brave, and they need to stick to what they've been doing.
Obalai with a pass back to his keeper, Kyogo chasing him down. Clear by Michael McGovern. To the midfield, it drops for Jamie Brandon. Back to Obalai, who dinks it forward up towards halfway. Winning the header, though, is Taylor, flicked on by O'Reilly, but one there on the left-hand side by Montagno. It's back to Stephen Welsh. Stephen Martindale perhaps wondering what might have been 2 defensive lapses allowed Celtic in for their 2. Scales slips it forward to Kyogo. Kyogo then out to the left-hand side for the overlapping Taylor. Newbley's there, but Taylor's pinched it off him. Cross-covering Stephen Kelly, trying to prevent the corner. He does with a back heel, and it goes out for a Celtic throw-in level with the Livingston penalty spot on this main stand side, the Celtic left.
Yeah, I think the fans were looking for a foul there on Greg Taylor, but I thought Kelly did well to get across and stop him getting across into the box. And that.
Here is a cross into the Livingston box on the left, flicked away by Montagno. Johnston trying to keep it alive over on that right-hand side. Rolls it back onto halfway with Welsh. Almost on 65 minutes at 2 apiece. Welsh driving forward deep into the Livingston half. He's been caught, though, by the continually impressive Tete Yenge, who came back and picked his pocket. The Celtic fans frustrated. There was a man-on shout from them, but Johnston didn't adhere to it, but he's back onto it now. The Canadian gets the ball in, and it's sclaffed wide by Maida. Well, Nottingham's lucky there, because he didn't defend that at all well, and he's fortunate that Maida hasn't caught it properly. It stays Celtic 2, Livingston 2.
Oh, absolutely closed body, you know, didn't even see where Maeda was coming to, and it was, again, Maeda, we've seen him getting into that back post so many times, and maybe not finishing. He did it early in the game, but that time he had a chance, just get his eye on the ball, hit the target, but Nottingham getting off the hook, I've got to say.
So static. You need in that situation to go and
get... open up your body and see where he is, though.
Go and get to the ball first. Don't give Dyson Maeda, who's so sharp, the opportunity to get across you or in behind you. Go and deal with it.
Get news of a double change for Livingston in just a moment. And it's Celtic in possession on the right with Welsh. Right foot ball forward. It's cut out by Montagno. And there's Brandon battling for it, losing it, but Sean Kelly's there behind him to clear. Scales with a header forward. It's going to break to Dyson Maeda. Now he's running at the box, moving in field. 2 options ahead of him, and Kelly and Kuhn. Kyogo was in there as well. Maida has it, sliding in is Stephen Kelly, another who's put in a powerhouse performance here at Celtic Park. It's still in play. We'll get the check in a moment. Here come Celtic down the right. Johnston, and out for a throw-in, which Johnston's looking to take quickly here. And now the changes will be made, and Chick can tell us all about them.
Another aerial threat from Livingston coming on. It's a huge figure of Mo Sangari. Andy Shinnie is the other player who's coming on, making way for them. Christian Montagno and Daniel Mackay coming off, but this is another height problem for Celtic to deal with. That's the changes, Liam.
Well, there you go. And Montagno, of course, on a booking, so it's perhaps no surprise. He also had a very uncomfortable first half. He's actually performed better, I think, in the last 10-15 minutes or so, but he's coming off as we approach the final quarter of the 90 minutes.
Yeah, I think it's a good time to make those substitutions, because Livingston have actually played better on this match when they've been behind. There's also there's almost a sense of panic stations when they get to you know, level, and I think the message from David Martindale would be go get a foot on the ball and try and calm everybody down.
Celtic have it. Johnston, low ball into the box, right hand side. Kuhn back out to O'Reilly, side foot low ball, cut out by Brandon and out for a throw in. Those two players incidentally have come on for Livingston, Shinnie and Sangari, both are booking away from missing a potential semi. Dan Mackay was as well. It's picked up on the left hand side by Obalai, who clears, and down the left with Sangari. Here is Welsh for Celtic, picking it up and rolling it down the right hand side for Kelly. Back to the right angle of the box, Johnston to Kelly, Johnston again, and Celtic seeing lots of the ball in the attacking third, unable to do anything with it at the moment, but here's a chance for Kelly, the edge of the area, it's cut out, and he goes away out for a throw-in over on the far side, and it will be a Celtic ball. 68.5 on the clock. Very interesting closing period of this quarter-final now, that's for sure. Kelly back into the midfield for Iwata, and then to Scales. Scales then flicking it out to the right there for Welsh, forward low ball for Kuhn. He's on the turn looking for an option in field, finds one in Iwata. Now it is Taylor. Short ball to Welsh, Greg Taylor. Low ball to the edge of the box, and it's going to break all the way through to Nottingham, who's able to rifle it out for a Celtic throw-in on this near side. Celtic have become embroiled again inside their own stadium, and they've dropped Premiership points here this season. And this would be a new low if they're unable to come through this quarter-final this afternoon in their season. Kuhn picks up, faced by Sangari on that far side, little dink ball. Johnston fires it for goal, and McGovern saves brilliantly at his near post, and that will be a corner. Outstanding goalkeeping from the experienced McGovern.
Yeah, it was a good shot. Swiveled, headed with pace, was high up on the goalkeeper's face, but he had to touch it over and get a good hand to it. So good save, good shot.
In comes the corner from O'Reilly into the 6-yard area. McGovern gets something onto it. It's bouncing around the edge of the box. We turn back the way by Kelly into the centre circle, where Johnston goes all the way back to his goalkeeper. That's not gone down well with the home fans. 20 minutes of 90 left. It's 2 apiece.
Yeah, I don't think he had any other option there, just to knock it back to Joe Hart and start again. You know, fans are frustrated because they want to see it in the attacking part of the pitch.
Kuhn on the far side, faced by Sangari and Dan Mackay. We've got Livy's first equaliser, cancelling out the first of the Maida goals. Maida made it 2-1 before that fabulous Teti Yengi strike made it 2 apiece. That's where this tie stands. It's Maida, left angle of the Livingston box. His pass forwards cut out by Nottingham.
It's going to be a long 20 minutes, Liam, if Livingston continue to revert to this type of play. I mean, at one point in that previous attack, they had 10 players in their own box.
It's going to bobble out to play for a throw-in over on this near side. And Celtic have only lost a handful of Scottish Cup ties in their own stadium in their history. This is not something that is in the script of this club. It is 2-2. They're not behind. But they need some bit of magic to come from somewhere, you feel, right now, Packy.
Yeah, they do. They've got to get the ball forward first into those areas. They've got to see, can Kyogo be the man that's going to...
Yeah, here's Kuhn trying to do just that, sliding in. Sangari puts it behind for Celtic's latest corner as they try and find the lead again. It's been taken short to O'Reilly. Now Kuhn, the right angle of the box, looking for space, might shoot here, does, takes a deflection, and McGovern makes another excellent save to put it behind the reverse side of the goal for a corner. Celtic 2, Livy 2.
I don't know whether it took a little deflection there, but Michael sort of...
I think he did.
Yeah, he kind of went for it and then had to almost readjust himself, and he clawed it away at the last minute.
Let's get Chick to confirm another Livy sub.
Yeah, Curtis Guthrie is the man coming on. They put up Daniel Mackay, both Lord, I thought he was going to make that change earlier on. So Mackay is now coming off to be replaced, as I said, by Curtis Guthrie.
Yeah, they took off Stephen Bradley, it was, with Montano at the first sub-interval. But Mackay, who scored Livingston's first, that was a fantastic goal as well, actually. All kinds of promise from Livingston here today with their battle against the drop. Resuming next week, briefly before the international break, first of the calendar year. And it will be a corner to Celtic to be taken by O'Reilly. Short. It's taken to Kuhn.
He gets somebody else out, Livingston.
Rolled back to the edge of the box, in from Taylor, and then headed away by Obalai. Kyogo picks it up, right angle of the box. Taking on Brandon, shooting for goal. It was a pretty tame effort, though, blocked by Sean Kelly. Picked up in the far side by Yengi, who drives it forward, and it comes all the way through to Joe Hart, who comes to the midway point of his own half to get onto it. 17 of 90 left.
Yeah, I think what Livingston obviously did in the second half too, they've tightened up at the back a little bit. Midfield, they look a little bit more structured and stronger, and that's stopping Celtic from penetrating them, and then they're going to hit them on the counter-attack.
Liam Scales rolling it left-hand side of the box for Maida, taking on Nottingham at the left angle of the penalty area. Goes back onto the left, and then under pressure from Nottingham, he rolls it out wide to Iwata, who shifts it back to Scales. Scales then away from Guthrie, up to the edge of the Livingston box. Nottingham slides in, breaks to Opalai, and he clears. But yeah, this is all Celtic right now. Livingston are being pushed further and further back here, being sucked back towards their own goal. And normally, in this stadium in particular, it only has one outcome.
And Liam, they've moved Tete Yengi to left wing back effectively, and Curtis Guthrie's now up front, so he's going to need to do as well as Yengi did at holding the ball up.
That must have been a reluctant move by Davy Martindale. I mean, if he's taken Dan Mackay off, I guess he has to do that. But Yengi had been playing that role as well as I've seen anyone play that role for a visiting team here this season.
And it can't be tiredness, because you're almost asking him to put more into the game in terms of physical running up and down the pitch by where he's playing now. So, yeah, I'm a little bit surprised at that myself, but we'll wait and see how it plays out.
Shanklin for Hearts had a fabulous game here as well, but of course won that match. Livingston with designs in doing that as well. They've found themselves very much in this cup tie, approaching the final 15 minutes here on Sportsound across the frequencies in BBC Radio Scotland, on digital and online. Highlights to come tonight of this one later. Hibs Rangers kicking off in just over an hour and a half's time, but just under an hour and a half now. Here comes Maida for Celtic, rolling it infield, but Obalai will let it go behind for the goal kick. And that will be a Livingston goal kick. I think Oh Hyun-Goo's wasn't involved in the match. He's been signalling to the bench there that he could come on and make an impact, and it may well be that they're going to have to throw the kitchen sink at this at some point.
Yeah, I was just looking at that run from Greg Taylor. I don't think he has to make that run. He was easily picked off by Obalai. Leave it 1v1 with Maeda. In the first half, he was running past him at ease. But, you know, if you run into that space, you're bringing another player in there, and it just kills it.
The referee blows the whistle. Offside, Celtic free kick.
Nicholas Kuhn, during that slide tackle which led to that attack that you're talking about, Packy, just held onto his hamstring. I don't know. Oh, there he's gone off now.
Chick can bring us news of another Celtic change. Brendan Rodgers turning to one of the most decorated players in this club's history.
Yeah, it's going to be James Forrest who's coming on. I think Kuhn is the man coming off. I think he may have a bit of a hamstring problem actually, but anyway, Forrest has been introduced into the game.
Yeah, he's a decent enough game, Kuhn, today, to be perfectly honest. I think he produced quite a bit, and he's taken players on, so he's been unfortunate if he's injured.
James Forrest, the 6 winners' medals as he crosses in immediately towards Kyogo. It's just gone over him, breaks to Taylor. Dancing along the 18-yard line. Short ball to Johnston, wide in the right. It's with Forrest again. He's looking to hit the byline. Little chip ball back, comes off the defender. And it will go behind for a Celtic corner off Sangare.
Yeah, the pressure coming on now. Livingston, obviously fresh legs with Forrest. and he will go with players. He can go on the inside, outside, and that he'll have plenty of ball.
In comes the corner, there's a diving header, and it's not got real clean contact from Welsh, and Livingston have a man down in Obalai, and they have a free kick as well. as we approach 77. Celtic 2, Livingston 2, and there wouldn't have been many gave Livingston a prayer in this match, but they find themselves still very much with an opportunity to get into the semi-finals. They've only been to one before, and it was Celtic who beat them. So they've been to two. They were looking for the third semi-final. Celtic beat them in their
and you've got to say
2004 season.
Has got into that stage now where the next goal can win this game, and it can go either way. Obviously Celtic got lots of dominance of the ball and they'll be hoping to get it, but if Livingston get themselves up into Celtic's half, into any area, they are dangerous.
You know, the semis in 2001 when they had that excellent season in the top flight, not as good as the one that came after when they finished third. Lost to Hibs in 01 and Celtic in 04. And it is Scales. Celtic will still be favourites, but Liam Scales has given it straight to Nottingham. The pass out to this near side by Yenge towards Newbley is cut out. Then Stephen Kelly with the intervention on Maida, and it's out of play for a throw-in on this near side. Taylor takes it and bowls it back to Scales. You've got to remember as well, as far as Livingston are concerned, it may be David Martindale stumbled upon something accidentally this afternoon. They've got injury problems, and you were saying Jason Holt phoned in sick. So he came here down in numbers. Celtic without two of their best players in Carter Vickers and McGregor. They've become embroiled in a cup tie here. Here is Newbley winning it back here for Livingston, midway inside his own half. Nowhere to go really, but he's done well. He digs it out, finds Stephen Kelly on this near side. A long ball. Guthrie will give chase. Scales with the header away. Joel Newbley gets onto it though. Newbley then with the left foot, low ball out to Guthrie, right hand side of the Celtic box, low across, cut out by Scales, but at the expense of a Livingston corner.
Yeah, it's not an easy one to defend. It bounces right in front of him. It's a good ball from Guthrie. It's the first time Livingston have been up the pitch in quite some time, but Liam Scales, you know, does what needs done and gets out, although Sean Kelly will be looking to improve upon his delivery from the first half.
This is Livingston's fourth corner of the piece. And it'll be taken over on the Livy right as they attack the goal to the right here. And Teti Yenge's wonderful goal into that very net is what's giving Livingston a shot here.
6 big players in there from Livingston.
And it comes from Kelly. It's towards the back end of the 6-yard box. Comes off Guthrie. It's still alive. Hart goes in. And Livingston have a couple of players throwing themselves at it. Nottingham as well. And he eventually goes behind for a goal kick. And Celtic 2, Livingston 2. The Livy man stayed down. I couldn't see it because there was a ruck of bodies there. Joe Hart, I think, went in to make a tackle there, didn't he?
Yeah,
With his foot.
I don't know whether he's caught him. I don't think there's no check coming up. I think it's just because he's injured that he stopped the game.
It was really difficult to see, to be fair. I think we couldn't see through the bodies. He just had a wee feeling that he was maybe going to come out and wipe him out, Joe Hart, but I don't think he did. And Celtic again looks ever so slightly vulnerable.
Chicks had a look back at that.
Nothing to see here. Move along. It was an attempt by Michael Nottingham he tried to get a hitch, kick the ball over, and I think he's just pulled his calf muscle, maybe a lot of cramp actually. In fact, he's going to get a yellow card for his efforts in making the most of it, shall we say. So there you go, yellow card for him. Absolutely no offence committed by Celtic there.
What was the yellow card for?
I think feigning injury. Well, I think for the old phrase, going down too easily, I suppose.
Celtic have it. The roar from their fans, looking for the big push towards 90 minutes to avoid extra time against the side anchoring the Scottish Premiership right now. Stephen Welsh over on the right, rolls it out to Forrest on the touchline. Brendan Rodgers looking to James Forrest to affect things as he did so often in his first spell here. Low ball infield by Forrest is cleared by Opalai. Scales facing his own goal, under pressure from Guthrie. Goes back to Hart. We'll play it short, side foot there to Welsh. Welsh has it, right hand side out to Alistair Johnston. He's driving forward into a bit of space. Low ball to Kyogo, and his little flick is given away, but he gets it back at the edge of the box. Kyogo prodded away by Stephen Kelly. Here they come again though. Maida to Iwata, out to Johnston. It's at the right angle of the Livingston box. Celtic trying to hunt down the goal that could take them to the semi-finals. His ball in though is cut out by Sangare, and it is cleared. Collected by Stevie Welsh over on that right hand side for the holders. Low ball to the right of the box for O'Reilly. Out onto the touchline for Forrest. Forrest up against Shinnie. Forrest with the outside of the boot into the box. It's cleared by Stephen Kelly again. What a good game he's had today. It is 2-2. We played 82 at Celtic Park. And this place is nervous.
He's just kind of fallen away, since Adam Ida's come in. I know they're similar types in terms of their physicality and the way they play the game, but you know, I don't think he's let the header light since he's joined Celtic, but at the same time I don't think he's done overly poorly, so maybe time to give him a chance, stick him up with Kyogo. Would you think, Packy?
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Sorry, Packy, Celtic have a free kick in an attacking position just to the right hand side of the box, so this is a chance, Packy, for Celtic to try and get the lead for the third time this afternoon.
Yeah, and maybe even leaving Adam Ida on alongside Kyogo. Is that what you were saying? Or put O on just now?
Yeah, but bring O on. Ida went off when Kyogo came on.
I know that, but I said they could have kept Ida on alongside Kyogo, but that partnership was good last week.
Yes, absolutely.
Free kick, O'Reilly back to the edge of the box for Taylor, stabs it to Kyogo, lifts it back into the right hand side of the box, looking for O'Reilly, tries to take it down, under pressure he still has it, finds Forrest level with the penalty spot, looking across, drops the shoulder back onto the right, it's a lovely ball in, there's no takers though. Looked as though he got it into a fairly decent area. No Celtic player can get their head onto it. Scales finds Kyogo, low ball, cut out by Nottingham. Kyogo has it. They've got Livingston pinned back here, but Kyogo runs into a cul-de-sac. And it's won back by Joel Newbley for Livingston. And he gets it round Greg Taylor really well, dinking it forward, looking for Andrew Shinnie, who's chasing after it. Johnston gets there first, turns it back to his keeper. Andy Shinnie, incidentally, booked just in the act of giving away that free kick, so he would miss the semi-final. And of course his brother picked up a booking that sees him miss Aberdeen's semi-final, being scored yesterday. So if Livingston come through, Andrew Shinnie would miss the semi at Hampden. And Celtic in possession here, 2 apiece, 84 played. Here's Welsh rolling it out to Forrest wide on that right hand side, skipping infield, getting away from Sungari, driving forward. It's good play here from Forrest. Throw back to what the Celtic fans used to watch. He's on it here and he shoots wide of the right hand post from the left hand side of the D, and it stays Celtic 2, Livingston 2. But we're in the closing stages of the 90 minutes here.
We are indeed. And yeah, this game looks as if it might go to extra time, but that was an opportunity for James there. He cut across and found himself over on the left hand side, just coming on his right foot and just swinging it in. We've seen him do it before, but this time 2 or 3 yards by the post.
Oh, flicked by Guthrie. Newbley is on this near side. Scales gets there first, he wins the header, and now it is Maida down the left hand side. His 2 goals. And of Celtic battling away, looking for a third here. Twice Livingston have responded though. And Scales finds Welsh, low ball out to the right hand side. Johnston takes a touch and crosses in. Maida tries to get there, diving header away by Nottingham. And then once again Teti Yenge holding off his man and helping out, but Celtic get it back after the clearance. Right hand side, Johnston rolls it to Iwata, across the face and in! Ties in Maida's hat-trick! Might just have taken Celtic through to the semi-finals in the final few minutes here of this last 8 tie. Livingston's resistance eventually is blown to smithereens down the right hand side. A wonderful ball cut right across the 6-yard line, and Maida gets there first to pop it home, and it's Celtic 3, Livingston 2. But it looks like it's going to be a tight offside check here.
Yeah, it's very, very tight. Absolutely. But again, Maida getting in. Nottingham, I don't think he's seen him again, or whether it was a good enough ball, or maybe the pass and the mobility of Maida just beat him. But certainly, you know, getting into the back post past a defender like that is
it's happened 1 too many times from Livingston's perspective. You know, Michael Nottingham's down, getting work on his leg from his keeper for cramp, and if you can't stop Maida without cramp, you're certainly not going to stop him with cramp. But it was James Forrest made a real difference to this game, I have to say.
The VAR check is finished and the goal stands. hands, and Celtic, the holders, are now all of a sudden just a few minutes away from a return to the National Stadium.
Yeah, we did talk about Maeda have been really, really sharp today, and he was in like a flash at the back post to put that in the back of the net. But again, yeah, James Forrest, the creator.
Yeah, it's a great ball, and that's why Brendan Rodgers put him out there, as he looks to add to his bulging winners' medal collection.
I think, Liam, you know, since Livingston scored to equalise to make it 2-2, I think Celtic have been by far and away the better side from that point, and on the balance of that and the balance of play, I do feel like that winner, potential winner, is deserved.
And a great moment for Maeda as well, Packy.
Yeah, great moment, and you know, to get a hat-trick is a real confidence booster for him. But I think he's looked really sharp today. For a couple of weeks there, I thought he was jaded a little bit. He looked jaded, he didn't look as sharp. But today he's been really, really up for it.
Yeah, and the clock now reading almost 88 minutes. Celtic just about there, looking to get into their 61st Scottish Cup final this season. And they've got an opportunity down the right here to absolutely kill the tie. There's a foul there by Singari, and he's going to be booked as well. And if Livingston do turn it around and equalise for a third time, he too would miss the semi-final. It's looking highly unlikely now. This is a really important moment in the game coming up, though, as Celtic look to rubber stamp their place in the semis. Livingston, though, are going to make a change check to try and alter the apparent outcome here.
Very much the last throw of the dice, Liam, as we go into almost the 89th minute of this game. It's Bruce Anderson who's coming on, see if he can snatch a goal. Michael Nottingham will make way in a moment.
And Celtic's first hat-trick since October 2022. It was James Forrest who scored it against Hibs right here. And O'Reilly, a short free kick back to the edge of the box. Taylor shoots high over the crossbar, and it is Celtic 3, Livingston 2, just about to go into the 90th minute. The team news at Easter Road, it will be firmed up for you by the guys ahead of that Hibernian Rangers kick-off. Chris Cadden has returned to the starting 11 for Hibs today. It's a big moment for him, and as far as Rangers are concerned, there is not any, I don't think there's any changes from the side that started in Lisbon the other night, but we will get that all firmed up for you once the final whistle goes here ahead of the third quarter-final between Hibs and Rangers at Easter Road, which will follow live on Sports Sound on BBC Radio Scotland. Morton Hearts to come tomorrow night. Here comes Celtic with Johnston. His pass forward cut out though. Singari has it for Livingston over on the left-hand side. Livy have only got stoppage time just about left to try and save themselves. They've come back twice before. Can they do it for a third time? 5 minutes, we hear, will be added. Livy get it back, no free kick. Kelly went down in the midfield. Chip ball forward, comes all the way through to Greg Taylor. And Taylor will knock it back to his goalkeeper. There's been some fine goals scored this afternoon. The two Livingston ones were excellent. Maeda, the first one, latching onto a wonderful ball from Nicholas Kuhn, and he got on the receiving end of that pullback from James Forrest to seemingly Rory Loy take Celtic through to the semis.
Yeah, it's been a masterclass in movement from Dyson Maeda. You know, any young aspiring player at this game as he goes again.
Yeah, but this time it goes wrong for him as he slips, and it goes behind for the goal kick to Livingston. But we are in stoppage time, the 5 minutes of stoppage time that have been added on at the end here, and if Celtic are able to negotiate the next few minutes, Packy, this will be a job well done in the end, but it'll be a bit of a sigh of relief as well.
Sigh of relief, absolutely, and from that perspective. But it's the Scottish Cup. I like Scottish Cup games. I like a little bit of a challenge from teams. They've nothing to lose. They come and put it up to the favourites normally, and today we got that in abundance. And from Celtic's perspective, we're delighted if they get through here to get into another semi-final, and that's, once you get the Hampden in, anything can happen.
I think they do deserve it as well, Pat.
Yeah, they do. They do. Listen, if you look at the stats, probably the huge stats.
Chance here. Again, it's fired across off the crossbar. Maeda again. Then the header on the follow-up from Forrest is brilliantly saved by McGovern. It looked like Maeda had scored his fourth. not quite. Smashed it off the bar, and away it goes to safety, and it stays Celtic 3, Livingston 2 in second half stoppage time.
But he was in again, wasn't he? Yeah, and really sharp. He's struggling a little bit of an injury. I think he's got a bit of cramp earlier in the last situation, but that didn't stop him, and he got in again, and so unlucky not to score 4 goals, which would be quite a feat.
It doesn't happen too often. As close as you get, really. Forrest on the far side, and it's played back to Johnston. Livingston's next match is at Easter Road against Hibs. It's I think the only place they've won this season, isn't it, in the league, on the road. But there's been enough in the performance today at Celtic Park to suggest, Rory, that there might yet be a remarkable act of escapology.
Yeah, I think so. Another chance potentially.
Yeah, Celtic come forward quickly. Kelly's there, and he fires it just wide of the right-hand post, and it stays Celtic 3, Livingston 2. But they were on the halfway line when I asked Rory that question.
Yeah.
That was good pace again, and if this Celtic team clicks into gear like that, everyone's struggling to deal with them.
Yeah, I really do think James Forrest has made a huge difference. He's direct running, he can go inside, he can go outside. He's given Sangare a tough time of it. His final pass, his final ball is generally speaking been pretty good, and I think he's just injected a little bit of not only energy but intelligence.
Foul by Kyogo and Sean Kelly, free kick.
Yeah, but that was something that was also missing from Celtic, having an impact off the bench for a while. You know, James Forrest, whether he's been injured, he hasn't been involved at all. And
hold on though, Bruce Anderson chasing, he just couldn't quite latch on to the long ball. Guthrie was up there as well, but it comes through to Joe Hart. But in the final 90 seconds of the stoppage time, 5 minutes were added, Celtic leading 3-2. As far as James Forrest is concerned, he's on 22 winners' medals. The most decorated player in Celtic's history is Bobby Lennox with 25. It's not beyond the realms of possibility that James Forrest's career could finish with him being the most decorated player in Celtic's history.
Yeah,
you need to extend his stay, of course.
Yeah, which would be incredible for a young man. But brilliant to see, isn't it? You know,
yeah,
nowadays you don't get players staying at clubs for that length of time and so on. So he's been a one-club man.
Yeah, and he's found Kyogo at the edge of the box, and he fires over the crossbar. And all of a sudden, Celtic looking pretty comfortable. But Livingston are going to have to dust themselves down. But again, there have been signs of life in recent weeks, Rory, the last few matches.
I mean, there has. They've picked up 4 points from their last available 12, which over the course of between now and the end of the season isn't going to be enough, Liam. But they've shown today, and they've shown recently, that they've got players.
Yeah, here's a chance. Forrest got it through to Kyogo. Can absolutely rubber stamp Celtic's place in the semi-finals. But the flag has gone up to deny Kyogo Furuhashi, and it will remain Celtic 3, Livingston 2.
Have we had a goal without an offside check yet?
It's going to be checked anyway, I think.
No, I know they all get checked, but they've all been relatively tight. It's a good finish anyway, very calm and composed. Everything you would expect from Kyogo. He's maybe missed a couple more of those this season than he did last season, but
he looks offside apparently, but difficult to tell for sure. Anyway, Kyogo, he's been the main man for Celtic at Hampden so often in his career at this club. As the VAR check is announced to the crowd. So Nick Walsh is in charge of that today.
How many goals would have been given if there was no VAR this season?
I think it's quite telling though that every decision so far, the ball's been at the centre circle and both teams have been in their half, whereas this time they're all set up to defend the offside. So suggests to me the players know it's probably offside.
Kyogo's still hoping though. He's got his hands in his hips, staring down Willie Collum, and it's taking them a little while to sort this out. The time's up, by the way. The game is done as far as the added time. We're well into 6th minute, 5 were added, so there won't be much longer. Livingston might get one opportunity to thump a long ball into the box. Oh, he's given it! Well, it does count, and Kyogo has sealed Celtic's place in yet another Scottish Cup semi-final for the most successful club in this competition's history, and it is Celtic 4, Livingston 2. Kyogo back at it.
Yeah, Rory called it a good finish though, wasn't it? You know, it was very tight. It was a flick on and he's in like a flash, and then he just composure to knock it past. Good finish past Michael McGovern. but he keeps that record up, isn't he, of scoring in Scottish Cup ties.
Yeah, he's the man, the go-to man for this competition, and Willie Collum ends this game. There were, I think it's fair to say, lengthy periods of stress for the Celtic supporters this afternoon, but they've got the job done with a late flourish, having scored early in the match through Daisen Maida as he knocked home after a wonderful ball by Nicholas Kuhn, that coming on 7 minutes. Opalai had previously hit the post for Livingston, though there was a foul given and a free kick for Celtic in their own box. Then came Maida's first. On 12 minutes, Dan Mackay rifled home after latching onto a long ball. It was a fantastic finish from Mackay, who scored on both Caley Thistle's visits to the National Stadium last season, including the final against Celtic. Maida restoring the Celtic lead 10 minutes later, before Tete Yenge, after half-time, after spurning a headed opportunity, rifled home the goal of the game. It really was a thunderous finish from the left-hand side of the box, across Joe Hart into the reverse right-hand corner to make it 2-2. And it looked as though Livingston were set to take the holders to extra time, but Brendan Rodgers threw on the old maverick James Forrest. So often he's been the hero in big cup ties, including the biggest cup ties of all at Hampden, and he came on to push Celtic onwards and take them through to the semi-finals, setting up Daisen Maida for his hat-trick. And then right at the end, Kyogo Furuhashi found himself in behind the defence. He's done that so often in his Celtic career over the last 2.5 years, as he fired home right-hand side of the box into the bottom left corner. And Celtic join Aberdeen in tomorrow's semi-final draw. Who will join them? We're at the midway point of the quarter-final stage of the 23-24 Scottish Cup. It finished here in Glasgow's East End. Celtic 4, Livingston 2.